See if this thing's actually working. Yeah, it's working.
One, two, three. Yo.
All right. Welcome back to another episode of the best worst show on the planet. But today we actually have a guest. We've just been sitting here hanging out, trying to figure out why my chat thing isn't working, and doing a couple other little things. So hopefully everybody's doing all right. I'm actually hanging out today with my boy, Mr. Gene Speaks. So we figured we would just have some fun today. Have a little chit chat about life and the way that things are going. I guess that's a good way of putting it, or whatever. So I'm just getting stuff set up right now. Oh, and I should just bring him in. I know I have like an actual thing for it. Hey, there we go. Not much. Your mic sounds good, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds better than most people's that I talk to, but that's just because lately I've been talking to people that have those AirPods in, and they're talking on their AirPods. And I'm just like, are you serious right now? Like, don't you guys make lots of money? You guys haven't figured this shit out yet. What's going on? Okay. You know, my mic sounds good, and we just messed with the audio. Does my mic still sound the same?
I think so.
You think so? We didn't screw it up?
Do what everybody else thinks.
Yeah, I don't know what everybody else thinks. I see there's a couple of people that are finally filing into the chat or whatever here. Like, I could pop stuff up like this. Like, Mr. Blacksmith here. That guy shows up every now and again.
Nice.
I don't really know who that guy is. And then there's this Welsh Republic podcast. Yeah. That's a new person. I don't know who that is either. Who's that? Is that one of your friends? Yeah, are you bringing your people?
A few folks here.
I know this person right here, Penelope. Yeah. Yeah. Better than usual. Wait, Penelope's actually giving us some good feedback. That actually sound better than usual, which is pretty good.
Better than usual. There we go. I'll take credit for that.
Yeah, take credit for that, because we've been sitting here trying to figure this thing out for at least the last half hour. And then Gabe Hoffman was supposed to come on and talk to us. And he's saying that he wants me to call him, but I think I'm just going to send him a link to this Video Ninja thing.
There you
go. See if he'll join in. But then we're going to have to add his face to the top up here. So, you know what? We're going to do it live. It doesn't matter. We're going to do it live. Oh, shit. If not, I might have to send it to him on this little, what do you call these things? These cell phones? I think I have this dude's phone number still. Yeah, that's right. I have Gabe's number. People out there in the world. So wait, HTTPS. Wait, I should probably not say that out loud. Yeah, that would be stupid. So, anyways, what? Why don't you tell the people about who you is, my friend, and why they should care about? Why they should care about you being on the best worst show on ever.
Necessarily should.
They don't think they should. Why not? Why wouldn't they care?
I'm just a dude with some podcasts. That's all I am.
You have some podcasts, so where can they find your podcast, anyways?
Oh, I got a few podcasts. I've got a Sir Gene Speaks podcast, which is at a great confusing address, which is podcast.sirgene.com. Because I was clearly, drinking something when I set that up instead of just putting it right on sirgenes.com.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
I mean, it seemed like it's the server name, so I was fine with using podcast.surgene, but oh,
Huh.
somebody's
Well, that's
friends
nice.
with Kirsty Meyer. Cool.
Yes, we got somebody that's
Uh,
friend, and then we have Michael E.
yeah.
Whoever that dude is. I don't know who that dude is. He's a new
And then
person.
I do another podcast called Unrelenting, which is at unrelenting.show. And then I do another podcast that's called Just Two Good Old Boys. And that one is actually just at justtwogoodoldboys.com.
And what do you guys talk about on that podcast?
That one, I mean, they're all kind of related. It's whatever happens to be the topic of the day. That podcast is a little more about Southern culture and guns, which is kind of the same thing, but
Is that the same thing though?
well, sometimes we do tend to talk a lot about guns.
Well, why? What is it about guns that gets you so excited?
I like guns. Do you not like guns? I see a target in your background there.
Oh yeah, I like guns. They're pretty nice or whatever. I really think that it helps with my right wing aesthetic or whatever that I'm going for.
Oh yeah.
Do you think it's like working for me? That's one of those laser target things. I use that, to practice. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but you have to have the right kind of firearms for those things. Because if you have a Glock, it's kind of annoying because you got to click, then you got to pull slide back, click. But if you have something that'll just striker fire, where you can do the refire on it, and you just plop, 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 plop all day long.
Pop, pop, pop.
It's all accurate. Well, you're not actually making any noise because it's a laser. It's just a laser. The only time I ever hear pop, pop, pop is when I go up to the Reno, and there's a gun range up there that I go to a lot. It's pretty nice. Indoor.
Shit, dog. I hear pop, pop, pop in my neighborhood all the time.
Oh, yeah. I hear that here, too. Actually, earlier, I think I heard somebody shoot a deer, getting their deer tag in.
Yes. There you go.
Over here, it's like you hear it, and you're just like, if it sounds big, you're like, it's probably somebody just getting a deer. Whatever. If I hear a shotgun or something, then I'm like, oh shit, that's probably like somebody getting robbed, but nobody gets robbed out here. It's like it's nice living in a big small town, you know what I mean? Big small towns are the way to go.
Wow, that was interesting. I got a little network connection loss message.
Oh, really? You lost your network connection?
Did my face freeze for a little bit?
No, but I am seeing that you are Rojo. You are indicating that you are having packet loss and frame degradation.
Ooh.
Or whatever this thing over here is saying.
They're on to us, man. They're on to us.
We're not even talking about anything spicy or whatever.
I know.
We're just
like
here.
I'm in the secret location. Nobody should know anything. What the hell, man?
What do you mean you're in a secret location?
What
about that? I think
it's
that's
all hidden.
You're all hidden. Like I see your background. It seems like you might be in like Japan or something.
So yeah, exactly. That's exactly where I'm at. Yes, correct.
He's in Japan. If anybody's looking for 454T 4376284765341. That's where he's at. 42. Ishigainas Lane. So if you want to find him, you can go check him out over there. Somebody's already in Japan looking for you and just wondering.
I know there is. Yeah.
Why though? Have you done things on the internet that you're not proud of?
Good food.
Oh, well, don't they just eat like rice and raw fish?
I like raw fish. Big sushi fan.
So is that all you like eat? So like, would you say that you eat like sushi 4 to 5 times a day?
No,
or maybe less.
No, I eat sashimi mostly.
So you're just eating fish on top of rice.
Just no rice, just fish.
Just fish. Huh?
Just fish.
Weird. So
I have them make it special with no rice.
So if they just bring you like a plate of fish,
raw fish,
just raw fish, just like twirled up on a plate. It's got to be expensive. Why don't you eat the rice?
Nah, rice not. Not good for you.
Rice isn't good for you.
Nah, too many carbs.
Was it the oldest person that ever lived to like a rice eater?
Oh, he was, but he didn't eat Ben and Jerry's ice cream.
It wasn't a he, it was a she. She was like
Oh,
119.
it was a she? Okay.
Yeah, 119 years old.
Somebody just
Like
died
Chinese
that was
lady.
115.
Yeah, that
I think
was
it was a French
also,
woman.
That was a French. It was. I think it was a French woman, but no. Now there's some Japanese. I think she's Chinese. Actually, she beat out everyone. 119 years old. Think about that.
119. Wow.
That's a lot. That's many years. That's like, getting
Fish
into
is
the
sometimes
biblical
a food,
shit.
somebody
Okay.
said. I think it's a food a lot of the time.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of a food. I don't know. What about, I made the chat really big in the background, but that's just because I made it so that it fits the whole entire side there. Maybe it's less fuzzy right there. But all you could see is the very last comment. So it's almost like, well, I could either pop it up like this or just
the same thing. There you go.
Oh, that's so good.
So
though.
you were on my podcast the other day.
Yes.
How did you enjoy that?
I thought it was an interesting experience. I mean, to me, we've talked about my feelings of podcasts. I don't understand them because I never listen to them. So it's like it's a part of the internet where I'm like, yeah, it's a bunch of assholes talking about stuff. I don't know why they're not on YouTube. That was my whole, shtick for the longest time.
It could be, but
censorship, right? That's why
people stay. Get a couple thousand people listening on every episode, so
that's actually pretty good. How do you even get analytics on that? That's the thing that makes me wonder.
Whether you trust the analytics is a different question.
Yeah, like how do you get these analytics from that? Where does it come from? Is it coming from the websites? Is it like Apple Podcasts telling you? Like, to me, it just seems like there's a lot of information out there, and I've looked at it, and then it just like every time I start looking into it, it goes.
I'll tell you, one of the things I like about the podcast is it's totally. It's not on a single platform. It's totally agnostic, right? So you got people on Android phones, on Apple phones, on desktops, on whatever, and they're all pulling that shit without having to go through any gatekeepers.
And it's all decentralized too, right?
Yeah.
But Apple's trying to own the podcast market.
Well, Apple's kind of been the de facto index. And so that gives them a certain benefit that others don't have.
Benefit?
Yeah. And if you join the Apple, I forget what they call it. They've got a program where you can do monetized podcasts. But then, of course, you got to follow all their rules.
Every single one of them. But then that's why they brought out podcasting 2.0, right? So that you could have crypto podcasting where nobody can stop you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
How is that going?
Podcasting 2.0, or which is podcastindex.com is the website. They're totally agnostic as far as technology. There's nobody that owns any critical piece of it, and it's the new standard that includes being able to send satoshis to podcast while you're listening. So you can set it up so that basically it'll send like the equivalent of a penny per minute or something, or whatever rate you want to set it up. You could do $1 a minute if you get the money for it. And then while you're listening to podcasts, it'll just start sending stuff.
That's pretty crazy that there's people out there that are just willing to take that risk.
What's the risk?
I don't know. What happens if you forget about putting the podcast on and then you're just like thousands of dollars just coming out your bank account?
Well, I mean, I don't think anybody, I've never seen anybody do like $1 a minute. Okay. I'm just using that as a round number. Most people
you need to call Mr.
Like
Beast.
sats.
You need to call Mr. Beast. That's what you need to do.
Well, there you go. Yes.
And then get Mr. Beast on it.
The podcast and then send them a bunch of money. Yeah.
Just dropping thousands of dollars on people on podcasts every single minute. Then you'd see Tim pull over there in the podcasting realm, probably a lot deeper. So I guess that's where Joe Rogan started. So wait a minute. So Joe Rogan stopped participating in the actual podcast ecosystem and then took himself private to Spotify.
Yep.
Huh.
for good
So-
money.
For good many, though, we're not talking shit or anything like that, right? We're just like,
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to fault Joe given the offers because the offer was 9 figures.
That's a lot of figures.
That's over 100 million. So
I don't know.
for that kind of money. But Joe just had Adam Curry on, and Adam Curry is the guy that
Started
that
podcasting.
created podcasting, including podcasting 2.0.
Is he like a well-known guy? Do people like him?
Adam Curry, not nearly as well known as you'd think he would be. But yeah, I think people like him generally.
I think I like him. From what
Yeah.
I've seen or whatever. He seemed like a pretty likable guy,
You've listened to his show, right? His podcast, No Agenda.
Of course.
Before?
Yeah, then he
Yeah.
was on like MTV or some shit like that, right?
He was on MTV. Yeah, in his youth, he was
He
one
was
of the original
on MTV when it was
VJs.
cool. He was on MTV
Back when
when it was
MTV
cool.
played music, he was the host of Headbangers Ball.
Yeah, that's why I remember him.
Mm-hmm.
And then didn't that Headbangers Ball show like move over to the Fuse channel or something like that?
I don't know. I mean, I think the entire time he was on it was on MTV.
I don't know. It was still
Hey,
cool.
there we go. Nick just says ITM bitches. So in the
That's
morning
right.
to you as well, buddy.
In the morning. Oh, I thought that was something completely different. What does that even mean?
Oh, it's a standard greeting for fans of No Agenda.
Oh, I see. I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
ITM
That's some.
in the
It's like
morning.
some inside thing. Like, if I walk up to you and I'm like, do you have stairs in your house?
Is there a special answer to that question I'm supposed to know?
I don't know.
Mm.
Guess not.
Yeah.
Yeah. What the heck was that? What the heck? Oh, look at that. That's the other guy that was supposed to be on this show today that
The
I
other guy.
completely spaced. What's up, Gabe Hoffman? Hold on one second there, buddy. How you doing, man? So I'm on with another friend too. His name's Gene. Gene, say hello. Let me I gotta
Hey.
bring you in here. Guest too. Sorry, I forgot. I'm using a new program. You're gonna probably really like this though, I think, if it works correctly. Although I didn't do the right scene, I think. No, I did. There we go. What happened there? Wait, here, let me just
I don't
bring
know.
this up. There we go. All right, cool. It works. Sort of. Not the greatest
Yeah,
though.
it's a little weird because I see myself at the top and you're all the way at the bottom. So if I want to look at you while I'm talking, I gotta look down.
Okay, my bad.
I don't know if you can rearrange that or probably something I have to rearrange, and I'm new to the program. I don't really know how to do.
Yeah, maybe. Here, wait, can I just rearrange myself to the top over here? Hold on a second. Let me move my camera. Where I am. Oh, Jesus. There we go. That works better. Is that better? Does that work better for you? It's a work in progress, dude.
Now you're over to the side, but maybe it's probably something I have to do. Anyway.
Yeah, it's definitely. So I think it's nice to have you on here. I know that there is some stuff that you probably wanted to talk about too that has been happening as of late in the internet world. So how have things been going for you?
I've been going pretty good. Should you tell the audience who I am?
Oh yeah, that's right. This is Mr. Gabe Hoffman. He's very well known for his efforts in taking down child predators online and in Hollywood, namely through a documentary called An Open Secret, which was very, very pivotal, I think, in at least exposing a lot of people into understanding that there's a bunch of creepos out there in Hollywood that, well, apparently like children in ways that are not good. Yes.
Yeah, it was really the first documentary about all that stuff, and we put it online for free in 2017, and it immediately went viral. The director of X-Men, Bryan Singer, I'm sure you've heard of him. His career ended within weeks. He's never worked on a Hollywood set again. great success. Brought forth a bunch more victims, a bunch more people, and we still have the Twitter account. And as a public service, from time to time, I try to research things, look into things, and do things as they come up, as I have time, just to kind of use my expertise to help things along.
Well, that is very, very good of you to do, I think, actually. So I know that we wanted to talk about one thing. I was actually about to bring it up with Mr. Gene over here, and it's that Eliza Blue thing that seems to be going everywhere online right now. Have you or you got any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I had some thoughts on Eliza Blue back in like 2021, 2022. I didn't, it's not the point of an open secret like that Twitter account dedicated to child sex abuse to really be, I guess, doubting anybody's story or looking into anybody's like personal life in that regard. She said that she was, she had, I guess, become somewhat prominent online at that time. She'd already done the whole host of the big, kind of libertarian / conservative podcast circuit. She'd done Dr. Drew, she'd done Timcast, she'd done, a bunch of smaller ones, and she's telling her story to people. And she claimed that when she was a teenager, I believe she was like 15, that she met some kind of photographer or agent type of, person, a lower level person at a concert, and that guy groomed her online and got her out to. She went out there after she graduated high school to model or something, and then bad things happened to her. She was abused, drugged, what have you, got out of there, and then was sex trafficked as an adult years later for years. Okay, fine. What I began to have a problem with were the things that Eliza Blue was saying and doing were just not consistent with somebody who takes this issue seriously or issues related to children seriously, and puts the correct information out there, information that's at a relatively basic level.
Oh yeah, I get you on that one. Well, I think it's funny that you were like one of the first people calling her out like a while back, and I made sure that what you were like the first person. I don't know. I feel like they found one other person, some girl that was like talking some smack or whatever, but it was for an entirely different reason, and they were saying something about Putin and her dad, but nothing like her actually being like a fake survivor. Because that's kind of like where I think we've been sitting at here. I've been talking to a lot of different folks about that particular story because people are wildly interested in it, like wildly more interested in it than they were in like the cases of that Fiona Barnett chick or, Becky Percy. Those are the two that always just come right up onto the top of my brain whenever that shit kind of comes up, because for a while there, they had a very similar way about them. I mean, I know that even Mr. Gene over here has been following along because Gene, I've been seeing you in a lot of these different chats and things. And I mean, What do you think about any of that? What did you think about how that came out? Like, does it feel manipulated to you, or does it feel natural?
Oh, I think I told you the first time. Well, I didn't tell you because you didn't read your text messages, but I texted you and said there was something off about this chick when she was on Tim Pool. And I remember I saw her the first time she was on Tim Pool, first time I'd ever seen her. And then the second time she was on Tim Pool, where she was I think she was a little more comfortable on that show. But anytime the question of like, oh, well, tell us more about, what happened to you and your experiences, she just very, very quickly avoided any possible that topic. And just that combined with her demeanor and her just, I don't know, weird clothes and haircut and everything else, it just definitely made me think there's something not right here. I'm not sure what, but something's definitely off. Like I would not give money to this chick. That's for sure.
So I guess I come at it a little bit differently. Like I've interacted with, spent time in real life with a number of victims of, sexual crimes, particularly, as children. And it would be unusual if a survivor wanted to just talk about that often publicly. It's, incredibly traumatic. It's incredibly emotional. I mean, I've sat at dinner with like somebody who you would all know. I'm not going to mention his name, but somebody who's like a very public figure, who's known for being like just unflappable, badass type person. And like even referring to like what happened to you without even getting into it. And like he shook for like 30 seconds and couldn't talk. Like I've, been at a screening of my film where there was one of the biggest male models in the world at the Cannes Film Festival. And he was like 2 seats over from me. And he didn't say anything about anything. He was just a friend of a friend. And then all of a sudden, like 3/4 of the way through the film, like I hear this guy literally bawling like 2 seats next to me. So it would be very unusual if a survivor like wanted to go online or actually talk about that like often. Once or twice in like a controlled kind of setting, okay, or maybe write down what their experience was, or have somebody write it for them, a journalist who's like accredited to like vet the story. Okay, I've to work with that person in a real sense, like okay, they've worked with you and they've determined like, yes, we've looked at, I don't know, plane records, phone records, credit card records, whatever, and we can determine that like this person was in Los Angeles from these dates to these dates, or there's a record of them traveling here to there, or in some way corroborating the story, maybe speaking with a friend that if the person confided in a friend like long before she went public, helping to like vet and get out the story. And then when a survivor is on a big program like that, they would just kind of say, okay, hey, look, I worked with so and so at such and such, and you can read it here. It goes into detail, or what have you. That's not what struck me as unusual about her. But there's definitely other things that did.
Really?
Well, but this is her shtick, right? So she's on the program talking about what she's doing with survivors, repeating that she's a survivor every 5 minutes. It is natural for people to be curious. And instead of seeing some kind of emotion or feelings creeping up, what I kept hearing is just deflection over and over.
And
So
not answering any questions about it, or being like, hey, I don't want to get into anything. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, it's one thing to not want to get into it like live because of the emotional component, but when you've never written it down or had somebody vet it and you don't have anything to point to, it's another story. By the way, go Eagles! My hometown Philadelphia Eagles.
Fly,
in the NFL,
Eagles,
in the
fly.
NFC Championship game tomorrow. Fly Eagles, fly!
Why do I know that?
I rep the Eagles jersey, so.
I don't even watch football, man.
So with Eliza, there were a couple things that were going on that raised red flags for me, and that I felt were appropriate to communicate through the open secret account. So number one, she was repeatedly spreading just disinformation, lies about the most commonly used methodology to detect CSAM, child porn, online. She was spreading misinformation and lies about reverse hash matching. She was calling it a search. She was calling it, a scan. She was linking to and referring to, other articles. She was publishing articles that, called it a search and a scan, and it's not. It's not a search. It's not a scan. This is like level 101 stuff of understanding what tools are being used to detect child sex abuse material. This is the most common. And she was just spreading kind of this libertarian sort of echo chamber disinformation. And look, there have been scores of court rulings at every level, state, federal, local, about reverse hash matching. And it's by law, it is not a scan, it is not a search. And Eliza was repeatedly spreading disinformation about and scare tactics about literally the most commonly used method of detection for CSAM. like if you went and read a bunch of news articles about CP, or you went through some indictments, which are readily available on the Department of Justice website, other places, local news articles, they would describe somewhere how the person got caught. And more often than not, in most of the cases, it's through reverse hash matching. So your internet service, the stories usually go like the person's internet service detected that they were downloading or uploading CSAM through reverse hash matching. And then they forwarded that to NCMEC, which is the National Center for Missing and Exploited Kids. It's a pseudo government, pseudo law enforcement kind of independent clearinghouse. And then they look at it and say, oh, yes, this matches what's in our database. And then they refer it to local or federal law enforcement, depending on what's appropriate. Like, it's literally how most pedophiles get caught. And she's out there calling it a search, calling it a scan, and it's none of those things.
Could she just not be technically savvy at all and just not really know this stuff?
Bro, I think that's obvious.
Right, but this is like level 101 ignorance. Like, this is like, oh, I saw somebody else who's in, popular in libertarian / conservative, circles writing about it, and I don't really know anything. She's got access to all kinds of experts because she's like a full-time advocate, right? Talking to all these people. You talk to anybody who actually works in, detecting CP or anything like that. They'll tell you what it is.
So you've been following her a lot longer than I have, sounds like. But has she actually said that she was doing stuff with child pornography? Because I've only heard her say that.
But she was advocating for survivors. She was advocating on behalf of somebody who
was. But again,
Twitter,
survivor not of child porn, but of trafficking.
No, but of a sex crime. Right. She also claims to have been a survivor of a sex crime against children, and when she was underage and went to Hollywood.
Has she actually said she was underage ever? Because I've never heard her say she was underage.
It sounded like she was 17. Maybe she could have been 18. I mean,
sounds like she was 17, 18. She says that it didn't happen until it was 17, 18. So we're talking like 1997, sometime around the Vans Warped Tour.
20, 25 years old, I imagine. You don't have to be a kid.
That was the second episode that she talked about. Yeah. So here's the thing.
Yeah.
Of the three.
This is like kind of survivor advocacy 101 type stuff, right? So there's two different types of people. There's the average person who's like not a public figure, right? Like, they're not out there to earn a living or to have a public platform. They just want to tell their story. And guess what? They can tell their story however they want. They can be anonymous. They could not name, the person that abused them. They do whatever. They're not schooled in like, okay, what's actually the best ways to help people, right? And they just do whatever they want to do. They write it. They get a newspaper article published, whatever the case may be. Then there's somebody who's like a public person, and you're supposedly advocating and you want to help people and you want to do good. So if you're somebody like Eliza, what's literally the first thing that you can do to help protect people? It's say, hey, this bad person and this bad person did bad things to me when I was 17, 18 in Hollywood, and you all need to know about it. You all need to stay the hell away from them. Like, yeah, it was 20, 25 years ago, statute of limitations, whatever, evidence, maybe you don't want to go to the police, or, it wouldn't really work out, or you tried, it didn't work, fine. But you've got a public platform, and by putting those people's names out there, now you're protecting, just everybody who listens to you, everybody who listens to, those people, et cetera, et cetera. Like, oh, wait a minute, my cousin said she was going to go out and work with so-and-so. And look, this is not a powerful person. She described this as like a relatively low-level person. So this is not like somebody to be afraid of. That's number one. Number two is, this is, again, a basic fallacy that she hides behind. She claims that, wait a minute, these horrible people would do horrible things to me if I named them, so I won't name them. So let's just go through some basic logic here, right? Like, two scenarios. You're Eliza Blue and you don't name them. Well, now they have a motivation to actually go after you and silence you because you're not naming them, right? They can stop you from naming them by silencing her, right?
See, I thought she had a settlement.
This all really happened.
I thought she actually had a settlement with the guy that supposedly, allegedly, did something with her.
I never heard that.
I've never heard that one
really?
either.
I thought No, I thought that
But then
was
there's-
she even talked about it on Tim, I thought.
But then just to quickly finish, there's scenario 2. You're somebody like Eliza. You're, again, out there in public, a lot of followers, public platform, and you choose to name this person or these people. Well, guess what? Now, everybody in the world knows, everybody who listens knows who they are. God forbid they don't have the motivations to try to like hurt you and silence you because you've already named them. That's it, right? Now, if God forbid you so much as slip on a banana peel outside your front door, the police, everybody, your name is out there and they're all going to be looking for you as the person with like the biggest motive. So
100%.
she would actually be safer if this bad stuff did happen to her, if she actually did name the person because she's a public person doing this for a living, having a platform.
Makes a lot of sense. I mean, that's the way that I saw
like
it from the beginning.
Again, this is not like a person just making a one-time appearance in a documentary or on a podcast or something like that. This is a person who's
this is what she's doing to make money right now.
Right. But if somebody was trying to be an advocate and be like, hey, you should, emulate me. I'm a role model. This is what advocacy should be like, et cetera, and you're given a big platform, then you should act in like the logical 101 level ways that are correct to help protect others.
What was that name of that actress chick that was that accused Harvey?
There wasn't a couple. Wasn't there a couple?
Yeah, the first one.
There were like 5 in the first article that Ronan Farrow published.
Yeah, she's the.
I know who you're talking about.
She was in that show with the 3 girls were witches.
Yeah.
Rose McGowan.
Yeah,
Rose McGowan.
Yeah, she used to be really hot. But yeah, she like I believed her when I saw that because there's actual emotion there.
Yeah, but you can't just believe emotion, bro.
What? No. I mean actual emotion, not just emotion. Fake. Yeah. No, I think compared to some of the other ones that I've seen, hers was one of the more believable ones.
She also got,
and I remember what she used to look like.
Well, she also got her story vetted by Ronan Farrow in the New Yorker, like where, look, at that time, Harvey Weinstein was one of the most powerful people in Hollywood. And this was the first article, like he could sue the heck out of you if, an I was not dotted or a T was not crossed. Mm-hmm. So like for Ronan to be able to go and say, oh yes, she actually told this person and this person and this person privately, like right afterwards. And then, yes, we can tell that, she was offered a settlement of this. And there was a lot of corroboration that he was able to put together to support her story. While it wasn't direct evidence for anybody looking at it, that's a big deal to have like independently corroborated stuff, if you will.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the only thing that you can rely on after all years. As far as
I can tell, at least for the child sex abuse claim, I'm not aware of any independent corroboration that Eliza has for that.
Mm-hmm.
So what I did in the initial thread was just to be like, hey, she's lying about the most commonly used, method to detect CSAM, spreading disinformation about that, which if you want to help, that's actually like the worst thing you could do. It's literally the opposite of what you should be doing.
It's not exactly the right way.
As we know, CSAM is like a major problem. I think it's the number of like reports to NCMEC have gone up something like 100% roughly in 2 years. I mean, it's an exploding problem. Like it's just the worst thing to do. And then when she was, saying that she shouldn't tell who did these bad things to her, I'm like, no, that's actually the opposite of what a public person should be doing. And then, the I guess the third chapter, the third leg of the stool is, her lie about, what happened with CP hashtags used to trade it on Twitter after Elon took over.
Oh yeah, she took all the credit.
Yeah, she took all the credit very easily. That was her number one thing to do. And that's what I thought was really strange, is because like I was just kind of like, well, I feel like that's something that we should be calling her out on. And that's one of the things that very rarely, or at least so far with a lot of the people that are finally starting to dig into this, like I keep telling them that they need to come talk to you about, at least what you were seeing in the very first place, for the completeness. But like people are talking about doing documentaries about this particular thing. I think you were actually.
I mean, I got a challenging day job and all that, and like right now it's earnings season. But like, I mean, I assume like your usual policy, like if anybody is not a jerk, they're friendly to you, they send you an email, whatever. Like, if for some reason they want to take a clip or a sound clip or anything from our conversation and put it wherever, like you're obviously cool with that. You're not going to like strike them, right?
Yeah, no, of course not. No, I told them that that's totally fine. I actually keep telling them that they need to talk to you directly. Like, I was like, well, if you're planning on doing a documentary or something, I was like, you might as well, go talk to him directly, do an interview. That's what I've been telling to a few of the different people, like Brittany Venti. I don't know if you've talked to her at all, or
she texted me. I texted her. Talked to Chrissy Mayer. Just like at the beginning of this, like we just talked on the phone, and I just kind of filled her in on this
what
stuff,
you knew,
answered her questions, and gave her a little information or whatever. Actually, there's that Farron Balanced or whatever. I'm supposed to get on her. I just said like, why don't we just stream, and then if there's anything you want to use, like go ahead and clip it, or whatever. Or if I'll throw it in the garbage, I don't care.
No, that's smart.
So yeah, the third leg of the stool, right? So Elon takes over Twitter, and he closes the acquisition, I should say, and then within a few weeks, Eliza is spreading. She's tweeting that the top 3 hashtags used to trade CSAM, child porn, had been eliminated from Twitter via an automated process. In other words, if you typed in hashtag, blank, that like now you couldn't type that in anymore, and Twitter wouldn't search for it. And that this like went viral, and Eliza had written an article in like a big Tesla blog. Look, she'd been a Tesla fan girl and an Elon fangirl for years, which is fine, whatever. Millions of people are, but she wrote this thing in Teslarati, also claiming that, and then when that got to Elon's attention, like he sort of confirmed the lie, if you will, and I
just took credit.
An independent journalist tipped me off. Anna Slatz, you can follow her at I think Slatzism. She writes for Redux Mag. She does amazing work on like pedophiles and things related to gender and abuse and all that. She's great. So she pointed out to me an article that she wrote or co-wrote back in 2020, and the article actually named what it believed at the time were the top 3 hashtags used to trade child porn on Twitter. So to be clear, if you typed in that hashtag, child porn wouldn't actually come up. What would come up is like sometimes an image of like, a child maybe provocatively dressed, but like fully clothed. But all the time, what would come up is like a screenshot or an image of like some address offsite from Twitter, somewhere like Mega or something like that, where it was telling you, hey, if you want to buy or trade this stuff, go here. And then like obviously like I'm not going there, and neither is anybody else, but according to Anna's sources at the time, these were the 3 most common hashtags, right? So like hashtag ADC, that's not one of them, but for example, if you type that in, you would get like a bunch of these. Like it was like, one tweet every like 10 or 20 minutes, right? Like Twitter's just full of them.
Yeah, it was just constantly going.
Yeah. I was curious how the hell people are even doing that. It seems like Twitter would be a horrible platform to trade stuff on. So they're just putting like a link to a download site with a hashtag on there. Is that what they're doing?
Advertising it for trade offsite, right? They're telling you, hey, this
go offsite.
This is the hashtag for it, and then here's where you go offsite to then interact with us, however you would. So Anna's article actually published it because the thought was at that time, like, look, normally you wouldn't publish the actual hashtags because you wouldn't want to do harm, right? You wouldn't want people to know about it. She had been contacted by Twitter and been in dialogue with them. She had the receipts because the thought was like, okay, now that Twitter knows about this, they're going to get rid of it by an automated process. And so, it won't matter that we have the hashtags up because you won't be able to use them anymore, right? But
That's
instead,
right.
Twitter did nothing. So they deleted the article, and they had like an archive link that she gave me, the archive. I went to a contact I had at CNBC because I work in finance, hedge fund business. I know people there. I've known Jim Cramer for 20 years. There's an excellent journalist I know there, Laura Kolodny. We talked about this. I shared it with her. We spent a couple of hours, really. She had a lot of questions, obviously. She's not familiar with all this stuff. We discussed it a number of times. And it was giving her the sort of information she would need to really quarterback an investigation. So she enlisted two people from NBC News, two colleagues, because it's all NBC Universal, and three journalists worked on this for 5 weeks to because this is like a serious investigation. Like, you can't go finding what's on the other side yourself, right? You have to get law enforcement, NCMEC, other experts, other people to verify that, like, yes, these are either the three or three of the most popular hashtags used, that they can, verify, and so on and so forth. It took them 5 weeks, and that includes over the holidays. So, like, that's a lot of resources for, like, the world's biggest news or the United States' biggest news organization, right? Like, they've got NBC, MSNBC, CNBC, Univision, and they published their report January 6th. And they detailed, they laid everything out, and it was a very lengthy report, very credible, a lot of sourcing, a lot of third parties, and they sent it to Twitter. And then 4 days later, Twitter, via automated process, confirmed that yes, those are very popular hashtags used for trading this bad stuff, and they got rid of them. So the thing Eliza was lying about, I actually got accomplished in the real world the way you're supposed to get it accomplished, by getting it independently investigated, educating the people who do the investigating how to do it, and giving them the kickstart, them doing their job, getting it published, and getting something actually done.
Actual work. You actually got actual work done.
Like, I put my marker down on November 30th saying we're starting an investigation. I didn't name who we were working with, obviously, but like, there's a tweet, there's receipts that, like, hey, I then linked to, like, 6 weeks later, 5 weeks later, to be like, yeah, that thing I was telling you all about that maybe got 100 retweets and not 10,000 like Eliza's lie got. Here's the actual investigation. See, I wasn't lying to y'all.
Yeah, and then you're still the one that's like, people are coming at me and all like, you need to stop attacking Eliza. She's the greatest. She's my favorite. Yeah, this is why I'm angry about all this stuff, because I didn't even know that you guys were doing an investigation. It was a pleasant surprise, actually. It was just a great surprise to see that came out afterwards, and I was just like, you see, there's just another thing. There's another thing.
And like, we're not that, an Open Secret's not that big of a Twitter account. Like, it doesn't get like, the viral retweets of like the Elon Musk network that like Eliza does. But like, some people saw it, and like, only one other place worded it up other than NBC. But like, when NBC, got their investigation published, like, it made Drudge report. Like, it got linked on Drudge. Like, Twitter had to, do something. So you'd think after they took it down that Eliza should be happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you want kids to be safer. You don't want them to be exploited.
She should have been
Eliza
like, celebrating, right? And she was talking crap about you.
Well, not about me, but she was just talking crap about NBC. She was saying like, oh, why didn't the media care about this stuff before? It's an Elon Musk hit piece. Instead of being like, oh, this is good, like, bad things got removed, she was like framing it as like some unfair attack on Elon Musk, that like the media didn't investigate this bad stuff when he wasn't CEO, which isn't true. Just factually, like, you could do a news search of like before January, or December of 2022, and just, Twitter and, CSAM or child porn, and you'd see tons of news stories about it, like, all the time. Like, It's just classic head in the sand, denialism, catering to like low information people. Like, that's just what she does. Which
is very effective if you really think about it. I haven't seen it not be effective.
Yeah, you have the lowest common denominator of people who are like, spending a lot of time on social media, and
Hey man, I feel like that's a dig
But
at me
that
because I
isn't the
spend a
rest
lot
of
of
the world.
time. I spend a lot of time on social media. I'm actually happy I've been getting all kinds of followers out of this deal. What's the
But
poncho about?
You're not the average. You're not the average Joe. You know.
No,
Yeah,
that's
well, I
true.
said that at the end, dude, you didn't have to do it right now.
What is it? Sorry, dude sent me this. What is this poncho thing?
Oh, no, it's my company.
You have a
So
company,
the other
bro?
thing-
I have a lot of companies, dude.
All right, we'll
So,
come back to
this is-
that. We're gonna come
Yeah,
back to that.
I'm
I
just
don't
trying
know.
to show
I'm
a
sorry about
product
that.
at the end of the show, and you don't have to bring it up right now.
Well, I don't know. I
yeah,
just
you gotta make a living. I guess.
I thought you were. I was like, is this a
That's my
dig?
company. I just,
What?
So the other thing is that in the threads that we made on an open secret in 2021 and 2022, we said like, hey, by the way, Eliza's had like 4 different internet personalities. This is what the different names were: Eliza Yep, Eliza Knows, Eliza Cuts. These are here's a a video of like how she was talking in like 2016. Sounding like this urban curvy model that claims she turned down $150,000 for sex. Like, here's some links. Internet, do your thing. But like the internet, I don't know, didn't really do their thing that
I
much.
probably wouldn't have turned that down if it was me.
And then
Just saying, if it was me.
DeFango did his thing and saw what we had done a while ago.
Yeah.
And like nobody was paying attention to these days. And like DeFango then went down that rabbit hole. Like, it wasn't really the job of it wasn't the job of an account like an open secret to like go down that rabbit hole. It was like to say, hey, here's this stuff. Like, come on, somebody look into it. And like DeFango did.
Somebody. Well, I mean, I got pissed
DeFango
because
looked into it. He wrote his thread.
Well, think about it, dude. Like when you made that last thread was the last time that I got a Twitter account nuked. So like any calling out or anything that I had done previously is gone. Okay, so like
when you did it right.
It happens.
You did it, and you built on the thread that we made, and you did your own investigation into the rabbit holes that we said, go into these. Like, this isn't an open secret stuff, but it's relevant if you want to know more about this person. You went down them. You unearthed what was in the rabbit holes, which is, what
I just say she just there. Seems shady
and
as
then
fuck.
And then a couple of other people sort of retweeted and posted their screenshots of what you were talking about. They happened to be notable YouTubers like The Quartering and Brittany Venti and others. And then they started getting banned. And then after that, it was like, boom, Streisand effect.
Yeah, huge Streisand effect. And that's the thing is like it's really weird to see this happen like this because, like I know that I don't have the best internet, I guess, history in the past couple of years. Like I've seen some people talking about, like, well, this guy right here is not the greatest either. But I mean, what I've done kind of pales in comparison to, I think, what we're dealing with. And like having Brittany Venti basically go at that the way that she did, it seems to have been very successful because now people really definitely do care about it. And shit, like there's a bunch of other people that have been banned since that particular point. Some dude named Yellow Flash, this Camelot 331 person. There's like a whole list of these folks that just keep popping up. And I mean, we were told that this was going to be a different kind of Twitter. And, like I've been always trying to, the Liza stuff is whatever. Okay, so she was a prostitute, big fucking deal or whatever. Like she got trafficked, she trafficked herself. I'm not sure. That's not what the point is anymore. That shit, that plot is lost a long time ago. Okay, now everybody seems to care about the censorship angle, and I see different people writing about it.
Things on YouTube with like names of companies attached, like. But if you post images of her that she doesn't like that are public, then yeah, she was trying to like censor people. It was ridiculous. It was basically
and images that she absolutely does not own.
Yeah, she doesn't own that.
That's they're not hers to.
Yeah, we know.
Say anything about.
Well, the World Store
was like a pebble, and then DeFango was like a stone, and then like DeFango's stone turned into like these other boulders.
Mm-hmm. No, well, yours was like you were the pebble. You gave me the pebble, and then I walked over into the ocean, and then I threw that little pebble into the waves, and then somehow it rippled onto Brittany Venti's, beachfront property or whatever that she doesn't have. I don't know where she lives, but something rippled over there and hit that off, and I think it's good because like so many people now that care about it are focused on that aspect of it. Like, half of the people, I'm pretty sure they're like, dude, she could give me like the worst answers in the world about all of this stuff, and I probably wouldn't care as long as she like apologized for the censorship stuff and tried to do something about it. Like, I think that's
she's
what.
Never gonna do that.
But she's probably not going to do that.
I mean, he's got like 1 million plus like YouTube subs, and like, he's just going to make it seems like a video every day about this. Like, every new thing that somebody finds out about like Eliza, like he's gonna find it on Twitter and like make another video about it as long as he's banned. Like, I mean, he did a video about like my thread. I was wondering why like all of a sudden Open Secret had like 1,000 more followers, and then I saw the quote. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, I'm glad that was useful. Like, because it comes at it a little bit differently. It's more of it's a fact-based like thing. It's not up for judgment. Reverse hash matching is not a search. It's not a scan. The logic she was using was false. The lie that she was telling about the 3 hashtags, like that's a proven, independently proven lie. Like, so it's more like, okay, this is, the house of a person's credibility, and those are the walls. And then outside observers would sit there and say, like, yeah, if she's verifiably lied about these simple factual things, that's the type of person that probably is lying about a lot of other things.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Yeah. That's the thing. And I mean, putting out all those receipts obviously calls everything into question, but now it's like every single move, there's a gang of people that are actually writing stuff. And I hear from Rolling Stone that they're probably going to end up putting out a piece on it. Although it's going to be...
I've had journalists, contacted me over a month ago about her.
Really?
Saw my thread. He's like, hey, so I'm like, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I keep getting some certain people hitting me up. Had a few people, like there was that Red State article that just came out. I thought that was kind of interesting because it's more culture. Yeah, well, somebody, Brutal Brittany from Red State. I don't know. That's a crazy name, but yeah. She wrote something on it that I thought it was pretty interesting because she was basically giving me what people are probably going to end up writing about, which is, it's like, this is the culture war era, right? We're supposed to all be caring about this. Censorship was supposed to be dead. Free speech is supposed to reign on Twitter. And then all of a sudden we're kind of like seeing that that's not the case anymore, or it never was the case. It's worse.
It's like new boss, same as the old boss, right?
No,
like it's if you know the right people and you have the right connections, then like you can get stuff censored and get stuff banned if you don't like it.
Yeah, that's really bad, actually. Like, it's awful. And that's not how it should be. It's worse. That's worse than the old guard, my friend. Like, the old guard, they used to, like, get people banned and stuff like that, but it was never laser targeted and focused in this type of nature. Now it's just like, okay, who else is Elon friend that somebody's talking shit about? How many other people have gotten their tweets deleted without them even, like, having interactions with them? Because half of my thread is missing, like, that thing was way longer. And those tweets simply don't exist anymore. They're just gone. I don't know where they went.
The one thing that you had with the old Twitter is you had a means of recourse. Like, in other words, Twitter had a media department. Like, so that if something was unjust, somebody could email them. And I'd seen it even happen with conservative media, like where people had tweeted "learn to code" and they got locked out, and then some conservative, independent media, like, hey, they, emailed Twitter's media department. They're like, yo, I thought this wasn't harassment, whatever. And then people got their accounts restored. Like, there was at least a process, but now there isn't, such a department. So it had to be something that was like, got such press, like when the NBC News report got linked on drugs.
Well, it's a private company now. I mean, it's literally
that, like,
it's Musk having his own company so he can tweet.
Well, now we're seeing how he's using his own company so he can tweet, and he's doing kind of a bang up job, actually. I mean, I didn't expect that this would go that way or anything, but when I'm watching Tim Pool's show and I'm seeing $100 super chats, $150 super chats where people are bringing this shit up.
That night on Crowder, that was over 20K.
Yeah, people were talking about this. Nobody cares about Crowder. Crowder isn't culture war. Nothing. That's rich bitch crying about his contract. Nobody gives a crap about that. Yep. But you start censoring people because they were watching you flap your cheeks on WorldStar, which is something. Did you even know that WorldStar finally like spoke up about that video? And they're like,
I did see a tweet about that. Yeah, I don't like, as far as an open secret goes, like I'm not gonna like add to like the open secret thing.
No,
or, like,
don't do that.
Really it's just that's not the purpose of like an open secret. That's just child sex abuse. But like, yeah, I'm aware of.
But doesn't that make you laugh? Though?
Like, yeah, that's ours, and like it was, like it was a model. It was, consensual. Whatever.
We paid for that shit, bitches. Yep. And it's just like she's using third party. She used YouTube's guidelines.
We're the copyright holder. We're the only ones who could, who can take this down.
Yeah, but that's the thing is that, she used, there's two different options that they have to basically take it down. It's either a lawyer. So who's she been palling around with lawyer? That's a lawyer that could possibly be her lawyer, or somebody claiming that she's a vulnerable individual. And I mean, I just don't like what world.
It's like, hey, like it has the WorldStar logo on it. We actually want it in the public domain. Like we want people to post, photos of like our models. Like we don't care who it is.
But you saw the response from
logo,
Twitter on
go
that.
For it,
You saw the response from Twitter though, from that I forget the gal's name.
Irwin.
Yeah, Eliza had a direct line to that person, and then was basically able to just make a false claim that person believed.
Yeah, but her response was that if somebody is in a photo, and that photo has them in a less than fully dressed form, I can't remember her exact words, then it's fully within our rights to take that down, regardless of who the copyright holder is. That was very much a message she had, is that it doesn't matter who owns this. If that video that somebody owns has somebody who's not wearing clothes, I mean, potentially any background dancer on any rap video can now claim that their stuff should be taken down.
Yeah. Yeah.
Although they would probably like it. I mean, I don't know, bro. I definitely saw some nips and then what appeared to be part of a bolt hole, but that's just me. Maybe I was looking harder than you. I don't know. People sent me a lot of screenshots. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I did that investigation over a month ago, and then, when it finally went big, it took less than a week for Eliza to go from not being on the Grifties like voting scale to being number one. And Hotep Jesus.
That was the worst thing. And you'd think she would have noticed, like, okay, she did that to one person got, locked or whatever. Like, okay, you would think that she could like see the firestorm happening and be like, okay, wait a minute, this is backfiring. This is a bad idea. This is Streisand effect. Let me undo that and just hope it goes away.
Bro, you think she knows what the Streisand effect
is? She like tripled and quadrupled down, and like now there's like 3 or 4 YouTubers that are banned, and like they're just them and all their friends are making videos like all the time.
Mm-hmm. It's a vicious cycle, It's a vicious cycle that I did not think would be engaged because it's me, like, right? Yeah. It's me.
But she had a chance to see like, okay, this is not a good idea. Let me undo that and kind of step away.
Bro, I thought she was gonna come out and crush me. That's what I thought was gonna happen. I was fully ready to be crushed by this woman. Just, here's all the details. This guy's a liar, whatever, character assassination, anything. And none of it came. And that's when I was like, oh man, she's really just gonna pull the same shit.
She just blocks and runs. I mean, she did that with an open secret. Like you could, because we linked to like the tweet where we just said, hey, this is disinformation, whatever, this is what it is. And like, she immediately blocked. And then she like quote tweeted from behind a block, but like she didn't want to directly engage as to like, because she didn't know what she was talking about, and she would obviously lose that debate. Like the facts are not on her side.
Oh, definitely not. No. Well, it makes me.
When did that? Sorry.
Go ahead.
When did that movie come out? Open Secret.
We put it out for free in the fall of 2017.
17. Okay, so 5 years ago, 6 years ago, almost 5 and a half. Okay.
5 years and 3 months, if you want to be precise.
Yeah, you would think.
And then, so what's your background? What made you do that?
No, I just had a nice, normal childhood, and went to NYU. And a buddy of mine went to NYU. He went to NYU Film undergrad. I went to NYU Business, and we were friends. And just talking about documentaries. It was right around the time when Corey Feldman had like sort of talked about what happened to him in Hollywood on his reality show. And I don't watch any of that, but my friend Matt Valentinez, he did. And he came to me and said, like, well, nobody's ever made a documentary about child sex abuse in Hollywood. And I'm like, okay, I don't really know anything about that or know that it's really there.
Mm-hmm.
And he convinced me to, spend, a good amount of money to hire private investigators, hire a film company for just a research contract. And then, like, after a few months, they gave me the research, and it was ridiculous. And it was, a lot of it was the basis for what the film became.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, for everything that went into the film, there's, 10x more that never did. Now, some of it went into print because, like, you research it, about it, the private investigator or the film company, they contact the victim, but then the victim is like, they don't actually want to go on camera.
Mm-hmm.
But then after we've released the film, they're like, okay, well, you know what, I'll talk to a journalist, and then they'll put the story out in print. So there was a lot of that. And then there were a lot of others that just, it is what it is. They decided they didn't want to talk to anybody, and that's just the nature of things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I remember the guy that outed Kevin Spacey. I talked to him a long time ago before all that, before he actually came out with his entire story back in like the 2017, 2018 era, I think is when he came out. Anthony Rapp.
He came out with it like 2 weeks after or 3 weeks after we, released our film. I mean, there was a whole, flood of people that they went after, that we knew about. I mean, Kevin Spacey was at one time really good friends with Bryan Singer. There was, Tyler Grasham, a big agent who actually just, passed away, but he was part of, Singer's pedophile ring, basically. Really good friends. Singer set him up in business, and there were like 7 or 8 or 9 that came out after him, like within a few weeks of our film. And then Gary Goddard, who was another friend of Singer's, who was like a powerful guy in Hollywood set building and theme park design and stuff like that. A bunch came out against him. He had been doing it for decades. He had actually molested Anthony Winter, I think is his name, when he was like 12 years old or something in like the 70s. I mean, he was, just a serial pedophile for like 30 plus years. I mean, goes on and on and on. But yeah, there was a whole flood basically like right after our film came out. And that's not a coincidence.
No, I don't think it's coincidence at all, actually.
Yeah,
but that's good.
We know about like every single one of them? No, but we knew about a lot of them.
Mm-hmm. No, makes sense. I mean, it's just kind of cool that, we could all come together over this, and there's a lot of attention, being put onto this area, because most of the time, like trafficking isn't really getting talked about in any of these places. And sure, people are focused on some parts of the Eliza story, but essentially, it's just proving once again that people really do kind of care about this a lot more than I think that anybody realized. And, we're getting both sides of the story, right? We're getting the QAnoners and all the other crazies, but people are working over the aisle on this one, I'll have to say, because I'm getting people that normally would, look at me as being like the devil on earth, okay? And they're like, bro, great job on the Eliza thing. I thought I hated you.
Yeah. Well, you and I have seen like, a whole bunch of people over the years like kind of come and go. Granted, those people had, let's say, much more, they had very fantastical stories that were just, eminently not true if you were somebody who was like, had an ounce of sanity in you. People like Becky Percy, people like, Fiona Barnett, that like, okay. And then, after a year, they were like basically discredited and off the internet. That like, yeah, at the time, there were a bunch of people going, you're whatever. It's like, no, they're freaking lying.
They're liars, you guys. That's why we were trying to do this. And, it's hard putting it out there like that, because when they find out it's a person they've been following, and then they're like, that person's a liar.
That was the other one, right?
I fucking forgot about that chick. Yeah, I forgot about that chick.
That Tom Hanks and Hillary Clinton and like a bunch of other people, you know.
Oh yeah, I mean, and she came up around when Isaac Happy was there. It's funny, I mentioned him the other day in the Simcast.
They all showed up. Sarah and Becky showed up within like, and Fiona. No, Fiona was always around. Fiona
she was
around
there
for a while, but people didn't pay like much attention to her. And then after my film came out, like boom, Becky Percy was there, and boom, Sarah Ashcraft was there, like right afterwards.
Just immediately, they came up out of nowhere.
And then QAnon was like there, like within like 2 months of my film was like the first QAnon tweet, and I mean QAnon had a lot of different angles and grifts, but like they decided to make one of their cornerstones like making up a bunch of child sex abuse. Basically.
Well, it was technically the people that were involved with QAnon that were already looking into that were feeding it back, right? Because it was a feedback loop, right? So like it was just going after whatever the people were finding, that's what they were bringing back to the table, so that people would be like, yeah. And I mean, it was kind of damaging in a lot of ways for some of these people, because I mean, that's where I think that like some of the folks that were confirming, what's her face's story, Elisa's story, like that Annie Donowald chick, who that's the one that says, oh yeah, Eve's Angels, this is where Elisa came to. And then come to find out that chick got sued by her family because the whole story's made up. Like, I mean, you can't make this shit up, dude. Like, how is this even possible? And then nobody knew about that. Nobody's brought that up. None of these people that are giving her awards right now have even thought to like look that up or question it. It's just ridiculous, man. I hate it.
The fact is, I mean, to summarize, look, the fact is that Eliza claims to have been, abused, trafficked 2 times. The first, as a 17, 18-year-old in Hollywood. She's got no corroboration for that whatsoever. Nothing, no independent corroboration. She doesn't, she's apparently never told anybody, afterwards. She refuses to name who it was to help, other people be safe. She refuses to name who it was that would actually make her, more safe. Whatever happened to her allegedly as an adult, it's not for me to, there's no proof that it didn't. There's no proof that it did. People can be in the sex trade, and there can be, elements of coercion or forced labor or whatever. That's not child sex abuse. It's a whole other story. But we do know, like factually, like we can't really factually say what happened to her as an adult or not. We can just say that, like, she is definitely has spread misinformation, disinformation about the number one most commonly used method to detect child sex abuse material, child porn, out there, reverse hash matching. She's repeatedly done that, just repeatedly, basically repeated this mindless sort of low information kind of libertarian echo chamber talking point. We can say that Eliza has definitely set a bad example for anybody who's a public survivor by falsely claiming that not naming a person makes her safer when it doesn't. It factually and logically makes her less safe if that really did happen to her, because the person now has the motive of like silencing her. Whereas if she named them, that's gone. And if anything ever happened, they'd be the prime suspect. It reduces the chances. And then number 3, we can say that Eliza definitely spread a viral lie, claiming that, the top 3 hashtags got removed from Twitter by an automated process just after Elon Musk, completed his takeover of the company. And we know that's a lie. And it's the top 3 had been around since at least 2020, and it got independently confirmed, a major investigation. And then Twitter responded within a few days and actually did something about it. And her lie actually got corrected through the work that I kickstarted, and really the work of the team that Laura Kolodny, got together, with her NBC colleagues. Like, those are things we can factually say. What happened to her as an adult, allegedly or not, like, I don't really know any information to prove or disprove it. It's a piece of the puzzle.
Hey,
what I'm trying to point out is, like, there are all these other pieces of the puzzle where we can be like, yes, you're lying. Yes, you're lying. Yes, you're putting out bad information. Yes, you're telling people the wrong thing. Yes, you're telling people the wrong thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that if you're looking at Eliza, I think it's important to look at her in a holistic context rather than just focus on like, okay, there's like some salacious pictures and like what that might mean or not.
Mm-hmm. That's true. I don't know. We found a lot of stuff about her cam girl days and her time in Germany and like Ukraine, and it all basically points to that. She was a high class escort. And obviously, if you know anything about
I don't know
the
about high
escort,
class, man. Come on.
well, I mean, allegedly, I'm trying to be as generous as possible here. We're talking escorts. Generally, when you're an escort and you're over a certain level, you're working for yourself. You're not working for somebody else. And the only
That's
people that are
totally not
getting
true.
you don't think so? I mean,
No.
I don't know.
We don't know.
Certainly not.
But we
in
don't
Europe.
know.
No.
We don't know though. That's the thing, and that's what really made me wonder is because like she got herself involved with the Andrew Tate stuff, and I've been pretty clear that obviously I don't know enough about it, but as from what I've seen about like his cam girl days and the videos and stuff, like it's obviously not something that like I would enjoy. Right, like it's not something that I would support.
Andrew Tate's brother for being a pedo from an
Yes.
secret in 2021. So I was tweeting about Drake Bell. Somebody had tipped me off about Drake Bell. He's a former Nickelodeon, child acting star.
Yeah, remember him.
I did investigation, and look, I'm a real person. Like I'm a money manager. Like one of these people could really, sue me if I said something that was malicious or libelous or false. I did an investigation in 2021 on my own. I felt that the allegations that an ex-girlfriend had made were, credible regarding Drake Bell's, interest in minors and what Drake Bell had allegedly told her. And I wrote that and I put that on Twitter. And then guess what? And he was 32 at the time and the alleged victim was 15. And Andrew Tate's brother, Tristan, tweets at me and is like, oh, bruh, 15 is like, fine, it's cool. I'm like, dude, he's 30, like maybe in the country you're living in, but like for normal people.
Didn't he say
no,
in a civilized country? Wasn't that his exact words? In a civilized country? God.
But yeah, I was going with that scumbag,
No, I know. I remember I was tweeting a thread out about that whenever it was getting all been there. And I was like, Andrew Tate, the sex trafficker, allegedly, or whatever. I mean, he's obviously some kind of pimp or something, but I just thought it was a weird overlap.
And yes, a year later, after I tweeted that about Drake Bell, yes, Drake Bell got arrested for sex crimes against a minor.
Yes, he did.
The case that I, felt was credible because I looked into it. It wasn't a case at the time. It was an ex-girlfriend saying that he had talked about doing that to somebody else.
And then all of a sudden, finally, something comes out of it, and then everybody's like, "Oh!" And then that's how
somebody else then went and decided they were going to talk to the police.
Well, it's smart, actually. Well, I just know that, Eliza jumped onto the Tate, bandwagon pretty almost immediately. What really made me just kind of go through a loop is her second appearance on Timcast when she was actually talking about it. And I mean, she had her duck lip thing going on. Obviously, got some sort of filler or something happening.
Was she pro Andrew Tate at the time, or was she anti?
No, she was anti. She's always actually been anti, but the thing that really set me back is on
something for once.
Yeah, she was anti-Tate, but she never was actually outwardly.
Finds a nut, right? Like even broken clocks.
I wouldn't say it like that though, because she just says the entire time. I think it was back in 2021. Somebody asked her about Tate, and she was just like, "Oh, that's an open investigation I'm a part of, and I can't, speak on that." And that's how it's been. So she's never talked about Tate. She's just always put it out that she was against Tate until he got arrested, and then she went up with the survivor messages, and that's when the first time that she actually came out, I guess, as you could say, is against Tate. But if you look at where Tate operates, Romania, Ukraine, the Germany thing, everything that Tate was doing is what she was involved in seemingly when she was working on that chat store website and stuff. I mean, those are campsites. You go to them today, they're still campsites, man. So there's got to be more overlap there than I think meets the eye. specifically, because this Ukrainian stuff that some dude sent me was pretty, I guess it was pretty compelling. The only problem is the girl she looks almost exactly like Eliza. She's just too skinny, and I'm not trying to like, call people fat or whatever, because I've obviously seen what I look like in the mirror, but she definitely, like there's skinny, and then there's like, I've been doing drug skinny, and it's like, she looks in between.
There's thick.
Thick. Well, there's Eliza thick right now, and then there's like Eliza when she was younger, when I met her or whatever, and she was pretty thin back then, actually. And then there's these pictures that I saw of her, like, overseas, and it's allegedly her, but like she just looks too skinny. She looks skinnier. She looks like drug skinny, like, I've been doing a lot of the yayo.
How old was she when she was there? You've got the timeline, right?
For me, I mean, when I first met her, she had been like 22. I was still like pretty fresh. Like I was a fresh, it was 2007. So I had just graduated high school like a couple of years earlier, like 3 years earlier. So I wasn't even 21 yet. I remember because they were always talking shit about me not being able to get in the bars and shit. That was like the big issue. But then I would make fun of them and be like, well, you guys don't even go to the bars anyway.
When was she in Germany?
So they said that she would have had to have been Germany when she was like maybe in her 27, because they said that it looks like the pictures are from the era of 2010 all the way up into like 2015. And there's obviously her being married too. Like there's this Ben Sipe character that, some
engaged, not married.
No, I think it's married because somebody put out a divorce paperwork with her name on it. So she definitely got married at some point. So that's 100, that one's actually 100% now. But
I wonder if she's got her own thread on the fruit website yet.
Yes, she does. She does have a thread on Kiwi Farms. There is one. They low-cowed her up as soon as she started censoring people. And obviously I pay attention to those guys or whatever, but I've had multiple people on Twitter like send me the thread or whatever, like, oh, Kiwi's got it. I'm like, well, what are they going to do? Just confirm the investigation at this point? What the fuck? I just hope they leave her alone, like, for now. Oh, well, Kiwi's on there. We're just going to have to kind of see how this one rides out, which is, I guess, strange to me, like, is Twitter actually going to bring these guys back?
She lives on a, large farm, that her family lives on. It's in a pretty rural area.
She doesn't have internet.
Her father is a local elected official. He's been for some time. Like, I don't think she has anything to worry about.
No, I don't think she's got anything to worry about neither.
As far as this isn't anything in real life, now on the internet, she, that's another story. But that's the internet.
What Tyler, the creator, said: "Yo, bro, cyberbullying isn't real. Just log off, dog. Close your eyes, man. You'll be fine." Yeah, it just makes me laugh. Like I did not want to cause this to happen, and I definitely feel like it's some way at cause for it, but at the end of the day, it's totally out of my hands now. Like everybody else is like bulldogging this thing. They care even more about me.
I did tweet the meme. I stole it from somebody because I guess memes are meant to be stolen.
Yeah.
Where, it's got
100%.
It's got Eliza's face, and it's got a Jack Murphy beard on Eliza.
Yeah, I saw that.
We've dubbed that the Eliza Murphy. That's what it's called. The Eliza Murphy meme.
Eliza is, 2023's Jack Murphy, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, she already won Grifter of the Year, hands down. Nobody's ever gotten that many votes in 7 days. 0 to hero, baby. So, I mean, it's just, we're going to kind of see this thing rolling forward. I just hope that, like, Twitter, for Elon Musk's sake and his, like, maybe not credibility, but there's something there that he needs to save. I just don't know exactly what to call it.
I mean, Elon's too busy with Twitter losing billions of dollars.
Is it really losing billions of dollars? You think so?
Oh, hell yes, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I mean,
look, full disclosure,
are you shorting it right now?
A bunch of Twitter's not a stock. He owns it.
Oh, that's right. I
When
forgot.
Twitter was a company, in full disclosure,
Yeah.
Elon Musk first said, "I'm buying it," and signed a contract, and the stock went up to like 50, and then a little while later he said, "Oh, Twitter has a bot problem, and I can get out of the deal. It's on hold." Which, number one, Elon Musk was lying, and number two, no, you signed a contract, so the way that these corporate law contracts work, obviously I'm familiar with being an investment manager, is like, look, there are clauses and things, but basically like they would have to be like making up their financials. Like they would have to be like lying about how much money they made in a material way or something like that. And no, none of that was the case. And then, so yeah, I bought a ton of Twitter stock when it was like 35, probably more than I've ever bought of anything in my life. And it worked out great because I sold it to Elon at 54 a couple months later. But yeah, Twitter barely made any money. And then between the economy and other things, like about half their advertising revenue went out the door.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've seen them still a lot of
Twitter
ads. So
is burning. It's losing $2 to $3 billion a year.
well, they need to fix that. I don't see him fixing that actually, because what have they really done? Like lately, they haven't really fixed. They haven't introduced really anything new, right? I mean, we've got
it's pretty simple. Their main source of revenue, like 90% or 85%, was subscribers. So was advertising. So you had an advertising model. So you either need more advertising, or you need a better, a new source of revenue. And I'm sorry, those $8 a month check marks, like they don't really cut it. That's like a drop in the bucket, right?
yeah, definitely not. No, they need like hundreds of thousands, or they need like 1 million people to sign up for one of those things for it to even matter. But the last time I checked was a couple of months ago, and they were saying it was like 450,000 or something like that, which I mean is sizable, but it's not going to really change anything for how much money that they're losing.
If 1 million people signed up for it, it would be 8 million a month. It would be 100 million a year.
Mm-hmm,
100
which
million
is
a year.
Nothing.
They're losing 2 or 3 billion a year. Like it's not even like yeah.
I just don't understand how they could be like what in their infrastructure is costing them this much.
They had like $3 or $4 billion worth of advertising revenue leave and say like we don't want to advertise there anymore. That's like true. Not a safe platform. I mean, he reinstituted like a whole bunch of like
they're all gone now
on the platform. No, they're not.
You mean like Nick Fuentes? He got booted, dude. He got booted again.
He's like a drop in the bucket. There's like a laundry list of people.
Dude, they let those guys come back. They didn't let me come back. Although I'm still there. I don't give a fuck.
There's people like E. Michael Jones. There's people like Patrick Howley. I mean, we're talking people with like Wikipedia pages, just 5, 10, 20 years worth of like documented hate that are like back on there now, like literally spewing Jew hate all the time. Twitter. How many people do you think Twitter has worldwide in the whole world for trust and safety right now?
12.
20.
Wow. 20.
I mean, allegedly, there's like one person for like.
You mean there's a good chance?
In, like all of Asia Pacific. Like, remember that includes like CSAM and like stuff like that. Like, so like yeah, people send reports, but like it doesn't matter. Like these people are literally saying like the worst things about like Jews, and like I'm sorry, but like thank God we live in a world where like reasonable companies are like, look, if you want to have that, that's fine, but like that's not where we want to advertise. Like we don't want to advertise, and like have.
We're not advertising to these guys.
No, what I mean is like we don't want to have like our ad and then like below it there's like a bunch of people like talking about like I don't know like Jew hate because like the guy has a big nose or something, right? Like
well, on the other hand, if somebody's reading those tweets, then that advertisement would probably work just fine.
It's just called brand safety. Like that's what the big ad agencies do is they look at a place and they say like, do you have, and they give you a score and they say whether you're, whatever, and Twitter is not that whatever thing anymore. And objectively it's not. So a lot of money big corporate money that used to go into Twitter doesn't go into it anymore for that reason. You can say it's right or wrong or argue about it, but that's just the way the world works. It's the way advertising has worked in the digital era for a number of years.
No, I know that. That makes sense. I mean, we knew that was going to happen. They were going to be bleeding advertising dollars, but there's nothing that he's giving the users that are going to change. That's really changing anything. And it's like, even if he were to go to like live stream me again or something, he would just be basically spending more money that he doesn't have to make it go forward.
Companies don't care about look, the argument can definitely be made that like Twitter got political. Twitter went too far. Like, look, if somebody wants to believe whatever they want to believe about the election or the vaccine or, what things like that's an opinion that like you can either follow or not follow, but they're not spreading hatred. They're not spreading hatred of like a group of people or things. Anti-Semitism is another story, and I'm not just saying that because I'm Jewish. Like, just structurally, it is.
Wait, you're Jewish?
Trust and safety, and you have people. Yeah. But like when you don't have trust and safety, and like you don't have, and you have like, people that are known for that. That like, I'm not talking about like somebody made a joke, somebody wrote a couple spicy tweets and they got banned. We're talking about like, this is the bread and butter of their message. Like if you looked at 100 of their tweets, like 70 or 80 would be about like,
the Holocaust or something. Yeah. No, I got you. I don't really see that stuff on Twitter. Actually, though.
Oh well, those.
Yeah, I don't really.
I so far I've been very lucky because like I don't have. Honestly, the most Jew hating person that I've ran into Twitter so far has been that partisan girl or the Pakistan or girl in Syria, girl in Kiev or something like that.
Oh no! Go look at Patrick Howley. Go look at E. Michael.
Well, I don't want to go look at his fucking account because then this shit's gonna show up on my feed. I don't want to see it.
I could name 20 other people that got their accounts.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like that.
Well, dude, have you been on
John Miller?
Have you been on Mastodon?
Who's one of the Groypers? A couple other Groypers, like
Wait.
Have you been on Mastodon? If you want to see a lot of people that are very free with their opinions, just get on Mastodon.
Well, I have a Fediverse client. I'll tell you right now, like everybody told me that I was going to see stuff like that. I saw sex workers. I saw like, a bunch of porn shit, but I haven't even seen any Nazis. Although I blocked one instance, which was like Nazi social or something like that. Just because and I haven't seen a single thing. Like,
I'm not saying it's right.
Not a one thing.
Advertising model. You've got to,
Yeah, I know. I got you.
You just,
Yeah, that Syria girl hates you guys though.
But I mean, look, the economy is not doing well. There are so many different places somebody can spend ad dollars, and
Yeah, I mean, I thought we were gonna get a new platform. Like, I have an idea for a new platform that would be really great, but it's not a new platform. It's just an old platform that looks new. You see?
How was that old angry guy in Pennsylvania?
Fucking Glenn. I thought he died. I thought he shot himself in the dick. No, that's not true. I say that every time that somebody asks me about him. No, he's doing fine, I guess. He's still doing his show. I think he's on Rumble or whatever now.
He's screaming and angry 3 hours a night to like the same 200 people.
Yeah, well, you know what? That's good though. That's his bread and butter. He's got 200 folks that want to come hang out with him and watch every day. I can't hate on it, but at the same time, he's wild. Like, he's just angry. Sometimes a little bit. I just, when they were
sometimes a little bit, like
a little bit all the time. Okay, I was trying to be generous. All right, it's just that like everybody, when they were talking shit about Dogecoin, that was a bridge too fucking far. Okay, that was a bridge too far. It's a joke. It's a fucking joke. If you're dumb enough to invest in a joke, you're dumb.
When I said that some of these stupid things that people were saying about like voting machines and the election, like, were just not true. He decided he instantly like blocked me personally, and he blocked an Open Secret. Yeah, an Open Secret doesn't talk about any of that stuff. An Open Secret just has child sex abuse news and pedo news. Like, you didn't want any pedo news because you don't like a political opinion of the guy of like, okay, like he's like in like a self-imposed like echo chamber of just,
Yeah, he's got a really nice place though. That farm that he's got is just really nice, honestly.
like if you don't believe what Glenn believes, man, then Glenn
Well,
don't want to hear from you.
Yeah, I guess that's how it is. I mean, he took care of everything on that end. Like, we're still running that one of the websites or whatever that was a part of that
Really?
whole debacle. Like the Fediverse client. Like,
This
we
guy
just
used to, you never heard this guy. This guy would rant. This is like maybe a month or two after the election in,
Mhm.
like late 2020, early 2021. This guy would go on these like 10, 15-minute rants, and he would talk about how he and DeFango he's going to get investor money into this, and that within a couple of years that like YouTube and Twitter were going to be bankrupt.
Mm-hmm.
Like this guy would literally say that. I'm like, dude, you're freaking insane.
I mean, I was like, hey man, I don't know
Like,
if we
hey,
can get
we're
all
gonna
that
build a nice
done.
little website, okay, but like that we're gonna bankrupt like the big companies. Like, come on, dude, you couldn't even put a website together.
Yeah, well, I mean, we put a website together. I put a website together, I should say, but not him.
Well, I meant a free speech streaming thing with like its own super chat system and all that. Like that,
Yeah, well, I
that
mean, we
takes-
were using everybody else's fucking shit. That's
Yep.
why. And I mean, it took Rumble a long time to, take the same kind of thing and like reinvent it for themselves or whatever. But like honestly, I'm starting to finally see that like that particular way of viewing it, like you can't build a platform that's going to be YouTube. You can't build a platform that's going to be Twitter. You can't build a platform that's going to be like any of them. You got to do what TikTok did and like make your own thing and get people to fit into it. And that's why I keep thinking that something like Stickam would be probably the best, because people love these Twitter spaces, right? Like it really creeps me out actually how much they spend their time in those places, because
and that's the other thing. It's funny. Like, okay, so imagine Nick Fuentes, right? So he gets back on Twitter and he's got like 100,000 plus, like of his followers come back instantly, right?
Reupers, yeah.
Yeah. So you would think like, wait a minute, basic strategy here. Like maybe the first day you're back, like you're not doing a Twitter space and like screeching about like how much you love Hitler and like how like Jews are the reason for like all the major problems in the world. Like maybe if for the first couple weeks you just like posted links to your shows on his cozy whatever website, like he could have probably doubled his audience. But no, he had to be like an idiot and just like spurred out and like, I mean, obviously there was going to be like a bunch of bad press, but like as soon as he got let back on, but like maybe keep your nose clean and like not do anything bad for like a couple of weeks. What you could get banned for, like just post links to like where people can find you and like build up your audience more. But no, these idiots can't think like more than like 24 hours in advance past their like own dopamine addictions.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it almost
Like,
reminds me of
the
Ian.
Stupidest thing.
It is the stupidest thing. It was the dumbest thing that he could have possibly done. But what did you expect him to do?
Well, this is the guy who Gavin McInnes. Did you see the Gavin McInnes interview with Kanye West?
Yes, actually, I did. I watched part of it, not the whole thing.
Gavin McInnes said that Nick Fuentes was going to be president someday. I was like, dude, you've lost your fucking mind if you think that.
Yeah, like seriously, well, I don't know what Gavin McInnes is on about.
You used to be a somewhat credible person. Like 5 years ago, like Gavin McInnes was like on Joe Rogan and billed as like the co-founder of Vice, and I'm like, dude, now you've got your head so far up your little echo chamber that you're telling people seriously that Nick Fuentes is going to be president someday and that Kanye West is not anti-Semitic.
Yeah, I don't know. I watched a lot of that, what Kanye was saying. It sounded pretty anti-Semitic or whatever. And, Kanye was never one to be very, like, anti-Jew in the past. He seemed to be very nice. So I just don't know where that whole era, I don't know where all that came from. Honestly, I don't know how Nick Fuentes and him got connected. There's just a lot of questions that I have that I think that are never going to get answers for about how that even happened.
There was the one part that was funny where like Gavin McInnes is like trying to like, he's trying to like, I don't know, work it out and like get Kanye to see the light a little bit. And he's like, so Kanye, look, for example, black folks are statistically more likely to commit a violent crime than white folks, but like I judge each person as an individual. I don't look at black folks and think any differently. And what do you think about like Jewish folks? And Kanye goes, no, I lump them all in together. And he's like, no, I don't want any Jewish people working for me unless like I can check their phones because they can be spying on me. Like Kanye just comes right out and says like, no, I am prejudiced against like all Jewish people. Like, no, I've got like these, bigoted views. Like, he just takes the life raft that like Gavin McInnes is trying to throw to him and just like, shoves it away. But yet Gavin McInnes walks out of an interview and somehow says that Kanye is not anti-Semitic. I'm like, dude, the guy told you he was anti-Semitic, like to your face.
Told you he seemed like he was being sincere. I don't know, when I watched it, he didn't seem like he was joking. Okay. Like maybe he was being really sarcastic and it was just too sarcastic for anybody to get. But
no, he's not joking. He's insane. The guy is certifiable.
He is fucking insane.
If he would have gone back in time, he would have been in a loony bin right now. I don't think he's... Look.
If he didn't get Kim Kardashian, you mean?
What?
If he didn't get hooked up with Kim Kardashian, you're saying he would have been in a insane asylum?
Maybe she needs to be there with him. I don't know. But it's... The guy is nuts. Like, I watched him on Tim and then also... on what's his face?
Tim gave him like an inch of like the mildest pushback, and Kanye like couldn't deal with it. He's like, "I'm out of here, man."
When he left that moment, the last thing they talked about was Tim saying, when I say those people, I don't mean the same thing as you. And that got him to stand up and leave.
And he had just flown all the way across the country on a private plane to even get there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he flew back in a private plane too.
So. It's a private plane. He probably had some like hot hoe that was like, all right, Kanye, let me get your
my bigger question is, what the hell was he doing with that little blonde gay grifter? That was a better question.
Why was he with Milo?
That's what I mean.
Why?
It's like
obviously Milo had something to do with that.
Biggest grifter out there.
Is he a grifter?
Huh?
So
Milo's a grifter.
Did you know that Nick Fuentes went after me on one of his Twitter Spaces like in December? Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. If I would have known that, I would have been in there listening. I would have been listening, laughing my ass off probably. And then when I requested a mic, and then they probably would have kicked me out because they would have been like, "No, we don't want this fucking guy in here."
Was this?
In Twitter Spaces.
Oh,
I guess. They you have to have a phone because apparently you can't do it from a web browser
never been
because
in a Twitter space, so I don't know.
So funny story. So this is like mid-December. It was like a Friday or Saturday night, I forget. I come home, I'm getting ready for bed. I've gone out, had dinner with some friends, and like I'm looking around, checking my email, checking social media, kind of before I go to sleep, right, for a little bit. And I just happened to see on my timeline that like it's like Nick Fuentes' alt account is like doing a Twitter space. And I'm like, okay, like I'll listen. And this is like mid-December, and I'm just thinking like, yeah, I'll just listen in the background for like 5 or 10 minutes just to hear like, because he was doing the whole Kanye for president thing, like promoting, a mentally insane like rapper who, says he loves Hitler. Like, okay. And like denies the Holocaust and all this crazy stuff. Like, I'll just listen to this insanity for 5 or 10 minutes, right? So I'm not listening for more than like 2 or 3 minutes, and all of a sudden I hear Fuentes like talking about me, because apparently it must be that like when I've never hosted one of these Twitter Spaces, but it must be that like the people who have more followers like must go to the top or something, and like a lot of his like groypers are probably the majority of people listening, and they're getting banned all the time for what they do, and they probably have low numbers of followers. Not that I have many. I have like, I don't know, 12 or 13 or 14,000, but like that would put me maybe near on the front screen where he'd see me. So he starts seething about tweets I wrote back in August on an open secret. And he knows that I'm the person who runs an open secret, right?
Well, your name is on it.
So I wrote tweets about this guy, Latino Zoomer was his name, back in August. The guy was a lieutenant of Fuentes, and he got arrested for violent threats against the Turning Point USA conference, like that he was going to go, like basically intimated he was going to go shoot it up. He like referred to like Elliot Rodger and stuff like that. And then when they caught him, he also got caught with child, porn on his phone. So I wrote a thread. I said the guy was a, key lieutenant. I had a good reason for saying he was a key lieutenant. I described what it was. Whatever, it's a freaking tweet, right? And it's like 5 months old, right? So like right away, Fuentes is yelling at me and about a 5-month-old tweet about a subject he doesn't want to talk about. I'm like, okay, already I've won. Like, you're not talking about what you want to talk about anymore. You've brought enemy propaganda behind your own lines. Like, you're not supposed to do that. Like, before I've even said a word, I've already won.
Wow.
So I messaged him. I'm like, yeah, like he's calling out me. He's like, well, if Gabe Hoffman's not, whatever, I'll call him. I'm like, okay, I'll talk to you. So he's like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, you wanted me here. I'm here. What's up? And he starts, seething about, and I give him the facts about why I called the guy a lieutenant. I'm like, I didn't say he was a general. I didn't say he was a private. He wasn't your regular follower, Nick. He was in between. Like, there's a bunch of videos. You're talking to him. You're super chatting him. When you had your event at Turning Point, and you said, I want people to come march with me. And there's a video of you all marching in the auditorium. There's about 30 or 40 of you, and he's one of them. Like, he drove a few hundred miles to go there. In my mind, that's a lieutenant. Like,
or some asshole that drove halfway across the country.
Yeah, the guy lived in like San Antonio and he drove to like Dallas or something. It was a few hundred miles, whatever. Mm-hmm. But the point is, so then he just started going to the Jew thing, and it was like, so I knew that, like, look, this is not really a debate.
So you were just Jew baiting him, basically.
Yeah, you were Jew baiting. Right? Is that a thing?
Yeah, Jew baiting.
But like, somebody can invite you up to debate. But like, if they're controlling the microphone and they're seething for like 5 minutes, and then like you get like 30 or 60 seconds in, and then they seethe for 5 more, your time's, and they're not winning, your time's really limited here, and this is not really a forum for debate, right?
Well, I think just being in there is a waste of time, frankly.
I think that you thinking that he was going to debate you, he thought he was actually going to debate you.
Well, so he gets into, the whole Jew thing, and he's like, and you people, and you should be honest, and you're not being honest. And I said, Nick, why don't you be honest about why you don't like women? Why don't you be honest with your audience about, why you don't date women, why you don't like women, about all the cat boys you hang out with, about the tranny porn, websites that people saw you looking at on your phone, about the, the
like Alex Jones
stuff that you like. And he just kicked me and cut me off, and he just like he literally seethed about like that, and said it was all a lie, and Jews and other stuff for like 30 more minutes. Like he was there to talk about Kanye, whatever. It just got people actually, like, somebody actually clipped it and like put it on YouTube. And it was like, I mean, and like the people who would comment on something like that are like generally not people who would take the side of somebody like me. And like 80% of the comments are like, they're like, oh no, the guy, crushed it. Calling him out for like his, whatever, alternative lifestyles or whatever he does.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm not a fan of alternative. I'm not a fan of identity politics on either side. But like, he's an idiot. I've watched a couple of things he's done. He's a total idiot. Like, he's not crazy the way Kanye is, but he is an idiot.
Yeah, he's just dumb. The best video that I've seen in a while is a video.
He thought I was a journalist.
He thought you were a journalist?
Like, he couldn't even, like, before he sees it,
before he yells at me,
on the press? He can't even bother to, like, type my name into Google or look at my Twitter profile and see, like, who I am.
That's
I
just,
I guess as long as you were having fun.
Oh, and then he started claiming that, like, Michael Jackson, when he was on his Jew rant, he was claiming that, like, Michael Jackson really didn't do what he was accused of, but that, like, it was only after Michael Jackson was anti-Semitic that all those things came up, and it was really the Jews who did it to him. So, like, he kicked me out, but I still DM'd him, and I DM'd him. I'm like, Michael Jackson's like a serial pedophile, and then so he's arguing about that. It's like, I mean, it was
Dude,
just,
why
it was
are
a
you
shit.
trolling a 24-year-old?
It was
Why are
a
you
shit.
trolling a 24-year-old?
Yeah,
He
man.
trolled me. He trolled me. I was just listening for 5 minutes. And
I don't
minding
know.
my
It
own
sounds like
business.
you beat them.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it seems like you went in there with the just to fuck with him. And I'm not saying that's bad. I'm saying that I definitely think that was a good job that you did there because he deserves it. Because I don't think that he can really like sit and handle. The last video I saw of him was something funny with him and Sydney Watson where he's, I guess,
yes,
being
yes.
interviewed by her and she's talking at
You ever
him.
been with a woman?
Yeah. He's like, she's like, are you?
Have you ever had an experience with a woman? And he's like, well, I'm having one now, aren't I?
Am I having one now, aren't I? Yeah, right. Oh
like,
my
have you
god.
seen like the video? Like, I mean, it's up on like everywhere, but like, you know, when he's like hanging out with like that cat boy guy, and like, I mean, he's got these adoring looks in his eyes, and like, you know,
With what guy?
Dude, if he's gay, man. You know, like there's a lot of gay conservatives. He's hanging out with Milo.
You know, I think he's definitely hanging out with Milo. That's for sure. Who incidentally decided to flip from being Jewish to being non-Jewish again.
Well, I think he allegedly has like a grandparent that like he claims was.
He has what's called a convenient relative. When it's convenient, he'll pull out a relative that just happens to match whatever he's trying to portray.
Right, like when he was called, you know, a Nazi, whatever, like 5-6 years ago, he's like, no, I really have.
Oh, you're calling a Jewish boy a Nazi, a gay Jewish man a Nazi? How dare you?
Oh, so that's the other part of it is so in August when I wrote this tweet, which again it was just a Twitter thread, whatever, right? Like I'm not a journalist, I'm not writing articles, like it's a Twitter thread, like you know, whatever. I got angry texts from Milo, like telling me that
you got direct messages.
No text. He has my phone. I've had his phone.
Milo has your phone number.
Why are you and Milo texting each other?
Yeah, I'd like to know that.
I had met him like in like 2018 at like a Mike Cernovich's event because we were both.
So you're a groupie.
So you just know all these motherfuckers,
Hold on.
I think we're getting to the meat and potatoes of this.
Yeah, so this is the good. So Milo had sent me these like angry texts, like saying that like I shouldn't have described Latino Zoomer, this guy who got caught for, you know, the CP and the violent threats. I shouldn't have described him as a key lieutenant, and I was lying. And actually, the you know Fruit website has like the actual screenshots because Nick posted them to Telegram.
How come you say Fruit website?
And then so the funny thing is Nick posted them to his Telegram, the screenshots that Milo sent him. And then he like deleted them like an hour later when he realized that like they didn't support his case. So he was claiming that like I was told that it was a lie, and that then I just hid behind, you know, criticism of Nick's, you know, political views, as it were, which I didn't even mention. I didn't mention that like Nick hates Jews or whatever. No, I just.
But he definitely does.
I was very polite, and I was like, "Hey, I've heard your case. This is my case. We're gonna have to agree, disagree. You know, have a nice day, whatever." And Milo was like, "You're only doing this because Nick hates you." I'm like, "Well, he does. It's a fact." But like, it's so Nick thinks it's like a big own that he's gotten these texts from Milo that he heard about 5 months ago. That he has an image in his mind of what I said, and he starts reading them. So his audience has no idea what he's talking about. He's reading this on his stream, and he gets like 2/3 of the way through the text messages, and he realizes this is just not supporting his case. So he just stops, you know, with the text messages and just starts going on and on about Jews again. It was really funny.
Yeah, that seems like something that those guys do. Like I try to stay away from them and their ilk because, you know, like I just don't want to have to worry about like them trolling my chat and shit.
Well, I guess what I mean is like he's really, really ignorant and unintelligent.
No, I agree.
It's pretty obvious.
Obvious. I mean, usually the people that hold those kinds of views are generally in that position, usually every single time.
You know who some of the most popular streamers are on his website right now?
Who? Anti-Semites?
So Baked Alaska's in jail, right? A guy who like, you know, went around and like literally maced people,
That happened.
I think he's in jail for the Jan 6 stuff now for 2 months, but then he's in jail for the macing like a bouncer.
I think it's macing a bouncer.
And it's on videotape. Like the guy was like standing in a door entrance and like Baked was like 10 feet away and he runs up to the guy and maces him. Like it's ridiculous. Who has gone around macing other people that like he hasn't got arrested for, like whatever. Fuentes has said like that's base, by the way. That's cool that he wishes he could like mace like blue collar workers who like work at Burger King or McDonald's who like don't satisfy him. He's literally said that on the stream. So he's got Baked Alaska. He's got a guy named Beardson who literally, I'm not making this up, lives in Kentucky in a trailer. That's one of his key streamers. Another big streamer.
Ralph over there too? I thought maybe he was.
Well, right, I was getting to that. Another key streamer is a guy named Paul Town. That's a guy who is known for having been arrested a couple years ago for setting a barn on fire in New York State, and last night got completely wasted sniffing something. He had like some kind of like, I don't know if it was Nasonex or like a glue package, and he was like sniffing the stuff on stream. Then he was chugging Jack Daniels and like either vodka or water on stream while he was tweaking out. He was like combing his hair. He was twitching. He was like going like this, like his eye like didn't function. And then he proceeded on stream to throw up all over himself, all over his desk, all over his camera, literally fall on the floor, like on the ground. And you can see like the chair move, gets back up, and then he's like bragging about like how based it is that he like got wasted. Like, that's the type of content that Nick Fuentes has on his channel right now. And then he has Ethan Ralph.
And then
what the hell Ethan. Are you doing watching that shit?
Yeah, like why are you watching those shit? I don't even
watch that. I don't watch that stuff. I'm just like, I watch some of the YouTube, or I listen to some of the YouTube drama channels. So like I've become aware of like the type of people that like are on, the drama channels that like make fun of like Fuentes.
Mm-hmm. Nah, makes sense. Yeah, see, yes, I think he has it out Ethan, for Fuentes, dude. I don't know. What do you think?
And then there's Ethan Ralph. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Ethan Ralph is. What's it called? Ethan Ralph has so many friends he has so many people that go after him. I call them friends, but they're not his friends. I mean, what was it? Jesse from Pod Awful. Like, I've crossed paths with him, and I thought that they were coming after me because they're very Kiwi-esque in how sometimes they go after people. But thank God they were just trying to get information on Mersh for me about that, which is another person that like shows up in this Eliza Blue situation. Fucking Mersh.
Well, he doesn't really show up. He just like said a thing or two, and then people like tag him because they think like he's important.
Well, everybody wants to. Well, I mean, it's not like they think he's important. Excuse me. His entire audience goes around and super chats and forces people to like talk about him, which is like why I think he's even in there in the first place. But it's just, it was funny to me because I didn't even know he was talking about her. I just sent him my thread. And I was like, here.
Oh yeah, Ethan Ralph. Like, no, Ethan Ralph's thing is like he literally finds people on the internet that like have never said a word about him, never whatever, and he picks fights with them. He did that with me.
Yeah, he did. He's never picked a fight with me. It's probably because I'm taller than him.
You might be. Yeah, Ethan, he's supposed to...
Just barely. He's only 5'1", so you're taller than I am. So, like, I'm definitely taller than him.
Yeah, I'm 5'7". So back in August, that guy, Frederick Brennan, the guy in the wheelchair, the disabled guy he's in some of the QAnon documentaries, whatever.
Oh, Hot Wheels.
Like, yeah, Hot Wheels. So... sometimes there'll be somebody that you have a conversation with or two, like years ago, and like, they're cool to you, you're cool to them, you're cordial, helpful, whatever. And like, you'll just keep following them on Twitter and they'll keep following you, even though like you don't really have anything in common or talk about or share about, whatever. So I'd had some conversations with him back in like the 2019, 2020 era about certain of the QAnon, let's say, adjacent people that were like, being really weird and trying to stalk me at that time. And, he was helpful, cordial, whatever. And we were still following each other. So I see on Fred Brennan's Twitter in like August of 2022, something about the Ethan Ralph page on Wikipedia was going to get deleted. Apparently, through some process there, like it was decided that like Ethan Ralph was not an important enough person, a prominent enough person to actually have a Wikipedia page, and it got scheduled for deletion. And apparently, Frederick Brennan was like posting about it because he was the guy who had created the page back in like 2014 or something during like Gamergate. So I didn't really know who Ethan Ralph was, but I've been looking into like, some things on Wikipedia, like on my own that I didn't really know. I thought that was an interesting topic. So I just privately messaged him and I had a couple questions for him sort of related to that, right? Like thinking to myself, like maybe there's a pedophile that like, I could make a page about or get a page made about. And I was thinking, well, what happens if it could get deleted? What are other sites you could use, like that you could move the information to, et cetera, et cetera. Like just, general questions about like process stuff, right? Nothing with Ethan Ralph specifically. Again, I'd heard the guy's name, but like I didn't really,
look into him.
So
that's an eyeful.
Brennan writes a tweet. Like Brennan is tweeting with Ethan Ralph like a couple weeks later, right? And he tweets at him something about like your page got deleted. I put it over here, and he like tags me. That's some reply that like one person likes, people like. Like it doesn't really go anywhere, right? It's just a random reply to Ethan Ralph that Frederick Brennan just tags my name in one time, right? I've never mentioned Ethan Ralph's name. I've never said anything about him, had anything to do with him. I open Twitter and I see like I've got all these notifications because like Ethan Ralph is like barking at me, like writing all these tweets like Gabe Hoff, da da da, rah.
I feel like they do
why
that
is
just
this guy barking at me. Like I'm like, why doesn't this guy just send me a DM and say, hey, why did you get tagged in this? Like my DMs are open. That's what normal people would do if they had a question, or they would just ask it. They would just, had a reply and be like, hey, who are you and what do you have to do with this? But no, this guy's like barking at me and threatening me and all this stuff. And I just thought, like, I'm like, okay, my mom's over this week. Like, I'll, next week.
You're like, I'll leave him
And I
alone.
answer him. So I like, and then like the next week I saw it. Like, I'm like, oh, I never answered that idiot. And so I like answer him and I'm like, dude, you don't know who the heck I am. Like, just, leave me the hell alone. I never have any problem with you. I never said nothing, right? And then this guy starts barking back at me again and again and again. And I'm getting like a bunch of, people I got to block with names like, Goy Sheckelstein and stuff, saying all kinds of, anti-Jewish crap and whatnot. I'm just like, okay. So I just made one more post and I like, because I like typed into Twitter, I'm like, okay, like what's something about this guy? And he had some court things. And so I took a couple images and I like tweeted those back at him. And I'm like, dude, you have your own problems to deal with. Like, leave me the hell alone, right? So I'm thinking that's it. It's like a little Twitter spat. He blocks me, like end of story, right?
Never.
So my DMs are open. So I get like some DM like the next day. And they're like, dude, this guy, like, he went on like stream and he was like seething and yelling about you for like a half hour. And I'm like, what? I'm like, over something, and it wasn't even that bad when I tweeted at him. I was just like, you have your own problems. Here's a couple court images. That's it, right? So I'm like, okay, I'll go and I'll click on this. And I see that he's on Nick Fuentes' site, which I know nothing about,
You've never seen it before. Yeah, you've never been there.
And he's got like, he's got like 500 viewers. And this guy's yelling about me for like I click on it and I see like 60 seconds and he's like, he's obviously never even bothered to Google me. Literally. He's basically calling me the F slur for gay people. It's like, dude, I'm not saying that I'm a baller. I'm a regular guy. But like, if you Google image search me, Like you'll see a bunch of images of like me at like, you know, charity events, like dressed up with like a hot girl as my date. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I like women. I've always dated women. Like, you know.
Were you
Like,
trolling
that's the
him in
last
his
thing you
chat
think
too?
about me.
Did you start trolling him in his chat too?
No, I wouldn't want it. And then the other.
Do you want me
and
to
then,
get you
like,
connected with Ethan Ralph? I can make that happen.
No.
I want to watch you crush him.
No. So then, like, and then he's alternating between that and yelling at me, like accusing me of being a pedophile.
Why do
The
they
guy
always
who's
confuse you with
literally-
that?
Like the guy who literally ended the career of like the most powerful pedophile that ever had his career ended in Hollywood was done by me.
And he just called you a pedophile.
And like he's gonna, I'm like, dude, like all the women I've dated are like very age appropriate. Like there's, you know, they're in their like late 20s, 30s, you know, like just
You're
it's
like,
the
no.
dumbest things you can think of. Oh, and then of course he's going after my faith, of course. Like the three dumbest things: faith, pedophile, I just deranged.
Well,
Like,
I mean, those are
listened for, like,
the
a minute,
that's the lowest hanging
and
fruit.
I listened for like a minute, and then I fast forward for like 5 minutes. I'm like, this guy, is he done? And he's going on, and I'm like, okay. I fast forward for like 10 more. It's like, no, he's still going on. I'm like, I can't believe this guy's yelling about it. It just,
Well,
that's
that's
funny, right?
Yeah, well, that's how they make their money, dude. Is like they find a Jewish person that they can make fun of, and then they just make fun of that Jewish person, and then they have that whole crew of people that just like, you know, flood them with money.
And
But it's not like
I'm
they
thinking to
actually
myself,
care.
like, yeah, I'm thinking to myself like, oh, that's why like there were like 15 people like just tweeting like really crazy like shit at me that like I had to block, like that was just deranged like Jew stuff, like whatever. So okay, that's it. Right?
Wait, you think this is going to be streamed on Ethan Ralph's show?
I hope. I don't give a shit. He does. I don't care.
Yo, Ethan Ralph, bro. I heard you were 5'1". You want to fight, dude? Dude, I don't even know who
So,
you fat.
So like he finds me, right? Somebody tags me. I've never said his name. One tweet reply, one more tweet that he didn't like that said, "You have your own problems," and that's a half-hour rage stream from this guy, right? So I'm like, okay.
I better hide
never
Lunchy.
hear from him again.
Well, good. Wait, you heard from him again? Oh,
Okay,
she's not
so-
over here. She's alive, though, I think.
So I never mentioned Ethan Ralph's name again. Like I have no reason to, right? But I did look up who this guy on YouTube was on YouTube, my own, and I listened to a couple drama streams, and I'm like, oh my god, this guy's a lunatic rage pig, convicted, you know, revenge pornographer, like drug addict, like just, you know, and got
He's
his
not a
ass
good
kicked
guy.
on the street in Portugal with his stomach hanging out, like on a fighty pig, like just, you know, his whole life is like a garbage fire, whatever.
It just gets
So-
worse the more I look into
because
it.
I searched him on YouTube, I got I found out who this guy Medicare was. Never heard of him. I'm just not into that stuff. And I listened to a couple of his things, thought he was funny, heard he was sick, heard he was doing his last stream. I've never super chatted anybody in my life before this, but I hear like the guy is like he's terminal, he's like dying or something.
Yeah.
So I sent him $100 super chat, right? Like a lot of people send him like, you know, sizable super chats. Like it was literally his last, you know, very sick last show. Now the super chat I sent him was like politically incorrect. It had nothing to do with Ethan Ralph. It didn't refer to him. It didn't mention him. It didn't anything, right? I didn't even listen to Medicare's whole show. It was like 5 hours, and like half of it was people just giving him, you know, super chats, wishing him well, right? His health, his whatever. Well, apparently Ethan Ralph picked out my super chat to like seethe over for like 10 minutes and do all the same, like, you know, attacks against my faith, like saying that like I'm a pedo, like, you know, I mean, calling me the F slur, all because I sent another guy he hates some money and like a politically incorrect tweet.
Well, as I understand it from Jesse,
And he read my tweet on his show.
Well, as I've understood from Jesse, I want to see it. I want to see it.
I'll get it for you.
But like Jesse is like, or Jesse from Pod Awful is, you know, giving me some details about that Ralph guy, and I've just been like, well, I mean, that'll probably come into my orbit, but now he's probably going to be in my orbit. We know how that works. We talk about somebody, and then all of a sudden they show up. Yay!
Okay, you got the video.
What'd you say to me on Twitter? Yeah, look at that. Boop, boop, boop.
Again, rule
I don't know
number one, don't bring enemy propaganda behind your own lines.
Yeah, don't do that at all, because it's always going to be a failure. Although you guys are probably not going to be able to hear this when I play it because of our setup and how we had it today. I should have just used Restream.
No.
I should have just used Restream. I'm sorry, but we set it up differently. Wow. Does that say what I think it says? No. That's fine. It's just why? Why? Well, I mean, it's Medicare though, so Medicare deserves it.
There's so much that he's going through like 2 hours worth of like, Medicare's like super chats to like find people that like and like see about it.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's something that he would definitely do.
Like, what a pathetic person. Like, how much more pathetic can you get?
I don't think that you could get any more pathetic than Ethan Ralph. That's actually probably a fact. Actually,
Okay,
from what I've seen.
So like,
just from what I've
sends
looked
me a
at.
link, and I'm like, whatever, and I see ECs for like, I said, listen, just give me, can you give me like that clip? And they do, and I post whatever, right? Well, the whole garbage fire started with his father-in-law to be. Did you hear about that?
No, I didn't actually.
Okay. So look, things happen in families. Like, we're all part of families, like family members or prospective family members. Like, there's disagreements happen, right? Sometimes they're serious, right? But like, they're private matters.
Usually.
You don't go. Yeah, you don't. Well, you don't go and make it public. Like, you hope that maybe you can work it out over time or whatever. So, Amanda Morris, Pantsu, he was engaged to. He isn't, or now he's married, but at the time, he's engaged to her. This is like right around Christmas, right? Right at the holidays. Maybe it was the day before, the day after. And Ethan Ralph found out that Pantsu's sister had privately said some unkind words about him to Pantsu. Like, which is, look, it's not the best thing in the world, but like, it's not uncommon that like, maybe somebody in your prospective in-laws family is like, might not like you right away, or might have some unkind things to say. Like, whatever, you hope you work it out, or maybe you don't. But Ethan Ralph went and rage tweeted like 10 times at like the father, because the father happens to have a Twitter account.
Just happens.
So he's taking this public and he's rage tweeting all kinds of like horrible things about like the sister, calling the sister a slatterly whore, calling the father all kinds of, just went nuclear, went public and went nuclear on like a private matter, right? With like people that are like not public people, right?
Not people that are even connected to the situation whatsoever.
Yeah. So like, forget about like ever trying, like now, like you've got, now you've just taken your bride to be and you've taken like a dispute with one person and you've now made it like that you're radioactive to the whole family forever, right? By taking it public. And he's streaming, and apparently he streamed for like hours. He like put the sister's like picture on screen, calling her all kinds of whore and this and that, showing like where she worked, telling his like followers to like go call the place that she worked, that like crazy stuff, like just completely unhinged.
Yeah, that's the kind of shit he does.
The father-in-law to be, this was a really bad move, not just for the obvious, right? Well, it turned out when Ethan Ralph moved to Mexico 6 months earlier, he left a bunch of his stuff at his father-in-law's house.
And he burned all of that shit?
Well, and the law is like, unless you have a contract for like storage or something, That's just abandoned property. That doesn't legally belong to Ethan Ralph anymore. It belongs to us, you know?
It belongs to whoever lives there now, wherever he left
And it
it.
was a lot of stuff.
So he just burned all of it? Did he just burned all of it?
Well, so there was a wrestling belt, which he was supposed to use for his event.
Ralphamania or whatever.
And apparently that allegedly cost like almost $2,000 to custom make. And I think that just got taken out by the garbage men. There were all kinds of, former, old wrestling T-shirts, like a bow, thing his dad gave him, like all kinds of stuff. So it's like, dude, if these things are important to you, like maybe before you started rage tweeting the guy, like you'd have somebody go and pick them up for you, you know?
But they didn't do that at all.
So he's yelling and yelling about how all this stuff is stolen, which it's legally not. Like the guy called the police and asked first, right?
Yeah, he's like, "Can I do this? This guy lists all the shit here.
Well,
I can do it."
He's like, listen, this is what happened. And they're like, yeah, just dispose of it, Well, he put a bunch of the stuff on eBay.
Did Ethan end up buying any of his own stuff back?
I bought a lot of it.
Wait, you bought it? Why?
I bought 5 boxes worth.
Where is it?
Oh, I mean, it's at my house.
You have 5 boxes of Ethan Ralph's shit at your house.
Well, his abandoned former stuff.
Was there anything? So, did you look through it?
So there was like a donation made to like a local charity in Rochester for like a good amount, like for part of our agreement with his father-in-law. Yeah, so let's see. There's probably about 20 Ralphamania T-shirts. There's a bunch of his. Well, there's probably like at least 25 like T-shirts that like used to be his that were like old wrestling T-shirts, things like that. There's a whole bunch of hats, like 15 hats. There's something that a bow, like a bow and arrow set, like a little kid's bow and arrow set, that Ethan allegedly told his father-in-law was worth more than his father-in-law's life. There's a polo, like a striped Ralph Lauren polo shirt that Ethan Ralph was wearing the day that he filmed Chris Chan getting arrested.
Wow, you have that.
Yeah. So if anybody like wants like a couple things, like if my DMs are open. Like if you have a proposal, like an idea, if you're a YouTuber, if Ethan Ralph has done you wrong and you want to like, stream something funny of you desecrating properly and, whatever certain materials in a creative fashion, email me your idea and I'll be happy to, get you stuff, I'll be happy to send it to you.
Definitely going to be forwarding a clip of this over to Jesse and being like, "Yo, Jesse, you want to..."
I'm sure Jesse bought some of the stuff he had. I can't imagine he didn't.
Oh, he probably did. I mean, just knowing him. I mean, he's been laser focused on that dude for a while now, it seems. So just happy. I'm like, hey, that guy goes after Mersh and the other one. I don't have to do nothing, man. Other than just be like...
Before I did any of that, right? I did have a twinge of feeling bad for the guy. I said, you know what? I've been...
Well, that's because you're human.
Successful. And you know what? There's some things in life that have sentimental value that, whatever. I've never, I sent him an email. I've never sent him an email before. But there was a publicly available email address. I sent an email, very nice email. Says, like, hey, like, look, everybody deserves a second chance. That includes you. If you'd like, I can give you a list of items. I can tell you what I paid for them. If there's anything on the list that you deem, it's something you'd want for the same cost as, for just what I paid for it, you want to have one of your supporters, pick it up or whatever, because, the guy lives in Mexico, right? Or something, to have it get to you. I'll let you have it for, let's just, have a
for
private, conversation about this. Yeah. He doesn't answer, but he goes on his stream and he yells for like another half hour about it. And he's yelling about my ethnicity, and he's attacking my, my religion, saying that that Jews have bought his stuff, and cursing and yelling, and like this guy he's a rage pig. Like now I know why they call him rage pig. So yes, he rejected my offer to and I said, the email was like not long, but it was like, if you want me to hold certain things for a little while so you get money together, like whatever. I mean, I didn't even list the prices yet, but like the guy was too ignorant and too much of a rage pig to even ask any questions. Like I got all of these t-shirts, these Raffamania t-shirts for like $9.99 a piece. Like he could have gotten them back for me for that, and he was selling them for like twice as much to his supporters. Like he could have literally made money off of that.
He could have, but he didn't want to. He didn't want to. Well, hey, hold on one second.
Like, look, there's like this old wrestling t-shirt and that old wrestling t-shirt. Those two put aside. I would have done it, no problem.
It's nice. Well, what's it called? What you said you had to go there.
Yeah,
Gene,
I'm out
right?
of here.
You gotta take up.
It's getting late, and you guys are yapping about shit that I don't know about. So
that's actually
I'm
the
done.
end of my Ethan Ralph story. I apologize, Gene. We got off on a tangent.
No worries, man. No worries. I mean, that I didn't even know half of that stuff. I didn't even know you guys were having beef. That's just funny to me.
I don't have any beef.
Well, I mean, he's got beef with you. He's got beef with you. You don't got no beef with him. Probably sounds like you feel bad for the guy in some kind of way. Maybe.
Apparently, I am one out of hundreds of
thousands,
people on the internet.
hundreds of thousands.
He's just found and just had a problem with.
Yeah, he kind of finds people and he has problems with them pretty on the regular. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, one can only hope that somebody like Elisa would end up like that. And then Gay's gone. See you later. But I don't think that that's actually going to be happening with her in any time in the near future.
Honestly, if Ethan Ralph had a problem with Eliza Blue, at this point, he would be like a fly on an elephant's ass. Like nobody would even notice him.
Nobody would even notice him. Although,
dude, he streams to like 500 people on like Fuentes' website. Like,
that's still a decent amount of people.
Nobody notices the guy.
Yeah, that's still a decent amount of people, though. Well, I mean, I guess it's
YouTubers with like hundreds of thousands, millions of subs, like going at Eliza like on the daily.
Yeah, and they're getting like 5, 6, 7. I think, but the biggest stream that I saw so far was probably the quartering. Could have swore there's like 5K people in there or something. It was like him and Brittany Venti, and it was like the first time that they were together, I think. Like, so that was pretty big.
Have you ever had any dealings with Ethan Ralph?
Me? No. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But I'm getting a lot of feelings like I did that one time Doug Stewart came on the show and started telling me about, I don't even remember what the guy's name was. Nope. Wait. Yeah, nope. All I know is American Hacker.
Like the lawsuits and yeah.
Oh, yeah, that guy. I mean, I don't even want to say his name so he doesn't come back over and start harassing me. That's like that's the main thing. But like with Ethan, I mean, if he comes at me, he comes at me, but I just don't understand what he's going to say. Like, oh, who started the game off and he loves the Jews. Okay. I'll just be like, yo, Ethan, you have two options, bro. Olive Garden, you, me, breadsticks, or we're fighting. Either way, you let me know.
Well, he's living in Mexico right now, so I don't know, like...
Mexico?
Get to an Olive Garden.
Well, I mean, I could...
He's got to come to California for a court case soon, so...
Okay, well, when he comes to California for a court case, take him to the Olive Garden, sit him down and be like, what the fuck's wrong with you, you crazy son of a bitch?
It's in Nevada County, California.
Yeah, Nevada, California.
I think on the side of California that's like near you, right?
I think maybe.
It's
pretty close.
It's a few hour drive, but it's like
it'll be like 3-4 hours, probably. I don't know. I'm Google mapping that shit right now to see where it is. Actually, yeah, that is like really close by us. That is really close by.
Like a multiple day trial, like this spring, supposedly something with like.
Yeah, it's only 2 hours away.
Restraining order with like his baby mama, the one he released revenge porn of, like,
Yeah, I remember that shit.
So yeah, he's got to get his fat ass all the way up from Mexico,
Yeah, I know. There's some guy in the chat saying that he doesn't believe that you're 5'7", and he wants a, what do you call it? Evidence, and the evidence that he is 5'7" is I am 5'4", and he's taller than me. There's your evidence right there. Just stack those up until you get to 5'7". That's how tall it is.
has confirmed in person himself.
I've seen it. You know, I've actually seen it. It was a weird experience. That was when we were hanging out with my other homeboy, Adam. We haven't seen him in a while, but he's around lurking.
SpaceX, and I'm like, dude, you're like an hour and a half north. Like, you want to get some food?
Yeah, we did. It was actually pretty nice. I still remember that fish. I haven't eaten any like damn good fish since then.
Some grouper.
Yeah, some grouper. Yeah, grouper. I just haven't really eaten that great of fish. It's just like everything's frozen and shit out here. Can't get a fresh ass fish.
Dude, one of the things. So I'm wondering. I'm like, you know, this is just really weird and ignorant. I'm thinking like when I saw like, you know, Ethan Ralph, like just obviously not knowing who I was, like not because like, okay, anybody who is like on the internet in like the fall of 2017, like October, November, December, right? Like if you clicked on Drudge Report, like any day during a 3-month period, chances are there was like something about like an open secret on Drudge Report, or some news story about like child sex abuse in Hollywood that was like that mentioned like an open secret, or like, you know, you were on YouTube or whatever. Like they've heard about it and they know what it is and they know who, you know. Ethan Ralph had no idea, apparently, and I'm wondering why is this?
It's because he's an idiot.
I realized, no, dude. You know where Ethan Ralph was in October, November, December 2017?
Jail.
He was in jail. He was in jail for assaulting an officer when he was all drunk and he was at a hotel. He was at like a cheap motel and he was all drunk and he was like, apparently he was like passed out in like a lounge chair or something.
And he assaulted the cop.
Oh, the hotel was like, what the fuck? Like we don't want this like, you know, fat slob all like passed out. And they tried to wake him up and he was all like, ah, and so they called the cops. And then he like, yeah, got all like, you know, he literally assaulted an officer.
That's funny. Well, I mean, if he ever does come up here again, I'll have to go check him out and be like, yo, what's up, bro? Hi.
The court dates, if I hear about when the court dates are, I'll be sure to let you know.
Okay, yeah, definitely let me know, and we'll definitely take care of that shit. That's for sure. Because I'll go.
Ethan Ralph's radar screen too, man.
Yeah, well, I'll be on his radar, but what's he gonna do? He ain't gonna scare me. I'll 5'1" of his ass or whatever.
You've dealt with a lot worse than Ethan Ralph. Without mentioning any names,
yeah, I've dealt with a lot worse. Much worse.
I can confirm.
Much worse.
You have come out. You have come out for the better. I hope everything's going well with you as far as your, you know, the job and everything.
Yeah, so far so good. I, you know, made twice as much as I did last year or whatever, apparently. But, you know, like starting a business, it seems like, you know, less, but it's more. So, you know, things are going pretty decent, I guess. I've just been kind of like, it's the dead season right now for, you know, my contracts and whatnot, though. So I'm just kind of like doing DoorDash and just getting by, which is, you know, sometimes what you got to do in my line of work. But hey, I did actually make some pretty good money, so I was able to do nothing for a while and be happy about it. Although this year, I definitely got to push. And I'm gonna hopefully like hire somebody else basically to help me do what I do, so I can do more cabling.
It was good seeing you. Haven't seen you in a couple of years, and you know, it's like, wouldn't you know it? We had reason to talk again, Eliza Blue.
I know, right? Well, we finally got the Eliza Blue stuff done. I know that you're probably going to be at least getting on some other shows and whatnot coming up, so I'll look forward to seeing that. I think I'm doing something tomorrow.
Just, you know, it was good to just you know, hang out with you and you know.
Definitely. Well, you know, we should probably start doing this pretty regular. I'm trying to take my Saturday nights and at least go back to having an open, you know, mic type thing so people can come hang out.
I'll probably go back to just doing my thing, but you learned a lot more about Ethan Ralph. Well, you learned that Ethan Ralph and Nick Fuentes, you know, had dealings with me. So I guess maybe something was surprising to you.
Yeah, that's surprising. I didn't actually pick up on that though. So no, I appreciate you coming on the show, chatting us up. I mean, we would have been on here for about 2.5 hours right now. So thanks for coming on, man. And I hope you have a blessed night, man. Appreciate you.
Have a good one. Go Eagles!
Go Eagles! I'm not an Eagles fan though. I don't do Eagles. So yeah, I guess the control room thing works. Though we got to figure out how to play audio in here. But that was cool. We had our boy Mr. Sir Gene Speaks on so he could talk about some things, and then Gabe popped in. I didn't know if he was actually going to make it in or not, but he did. So we obviously updated things so we could talk about that. It's nice hearing his perspective on this whole Liza thing, because to us it's just funny shit. You know, like we wanted this shit to happen a long time ago, but we got to give credit where credit's due, that, you know, Jeremy and really Brittany are the ones that deserve most of the credit here. I mean, I feel like I'm trying to collect information, but now everybody's just ass deep in that shit. And what am I supposed to do? I don't really know what I'm supposed to do, but I don't even know I don't even know if I can show this on screen, dude. What the fuck, dude? Yep. I think that about covers it. So yeah, I appreciate you guys coming over here and hanging out. We were trying something new. I was really just trying to figure out how we're gonna do all this stuff. I think if I'm doing interviews, I'm just using the restream thing from now on, because it's just a lot less work. It doesn't look as cool or whatever, but at this fucking point, I don't care. It's a pretty solid interview. So much love, thanks to Amergard for that $1.99 super chat. One person came through and monetized the stream more than we're ever gonna make on YouTube abs in the first place. So we appreciate you. And now I guess I should probably start brushing up on my Ethan Ralph shit, because obviously that dude's gonna come start fucking with me. So cool. Well, I'm out. Bye now. Have a good day. See you later. Be cool and shit. Bye. Later. Have a good day. You can go home now, or wherever it is you live or do. It's like you don't gotta be here no more. You go do whatever it is you do now. Go away. Go home. Or whatever. Peace.